Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Remember, if you're not watching live, to join us towards the last 15 minutes of this video so you can see a little breakdown. Last night we had a good Mother's Day. We went to a concert and stuff. So no breakdown this morning. We're going to kind of go through stocks as the open happens and just kind of take it a little bit chiller today. Now, what am I noticing right away? Well, we're seeing gap ups in Microsoft and Apple just because of some AI news coming out, some AI partnerships. So we do have Apple and Microsoft able to see those gap ups. So remember, the signals we're paying attention to here was a 2-hour divergence or something like that, or maybe an hourly divergence, something like this. This would be very, very powerful going forward. Now that hourly is most likely going to cross over the next 24 hours, right, over the next trading session. Yeah, we go up to higher levels, but and up here we'll have to pay attention because I believe that weekly expected move is sitting right above us somewhere. So we'll have to pay attention to where Apple is as of right now. We got a little bit more room left. We can get up towards something like 187, 188. So a little bit of room to the upside here, getting that confirmation. Not the most room to the upside according to the weekly expected move. So I am expecting some volatility with all the data drops. Maybe this is a sign that, hey, we're going to see some volatility with PPI, and then that's ripped away. And then we go back down into this zone, and maybe CPI the next day comes out and is a little bit better for us. We'll have to pay attention to that going forward. Now, if we just click through the lines here, let's see. SPY. What do we got going on? Well, we talked about a lot yesterday. We talked about how these 2 hours look like they need to really pull back. And what are we seeing as of right now? Another upward move as we do test that weekly expected move. Now, remember what we were saying in the video last night was, well, this 30-minute, what if it goes and creates some kind of little divergence up in this area to the upside? Really, we just want to pay attention to, I think Monday is very important. If we get outside of that move early on in the day, well, now you have that 68% chance that it's ripped away. Remember, if it remains out of there, towards the last couple hours, you can start to use this as support to actually head higher. We could see one of those 32% chances with the daily expected moves. If you didn't get the weekly expected moves, those are going to be 528.69 to the upside and 512.99 to the downside. So you see, we do have some volatility priced in, right? There is some volatility priced in for this week. And as we switch over to the Qs, what's happening? Well, we're about to hit that upside move again early on Monday, right? In the first 5 minutes of trading here, right? Right at the open, we're coming up towards this area. This is where some resistance can come in. But remember, we are in a short squeeze context. So we want to pay attention to this because we could just see this get bullish again. Now, why would that be bullish? Well, because volatility did get a pop higher, but you notice now it looks like it might drift back down. So we'll have to see if this is able to turn back around and remain positive. But as of right now, something that is very, very different hasn't happened really until, since May 1st, hasn't really been positive trend since Tuesday, April 30th. Is exactly that. We're negative. We finally see a positive pop, and now we may very well see this keep climbing, but we'll have to make some kind of higher low in this area to head higher. Let's go check on the dollar real quick. That is starting to break down. This is something that I pay attention to on the 2 hour, and that is starting to break down from this level, right? We're taking out some major support here. So what could we see? Well, this could be maybe cup and handle, right? Maybe this is where we want to complete the cup and get that handle actually. I would really like to see us break down to this area if we're going to get really bullish, then get that handle, and then we can see even more bullishness go. So now, do I think that is the most likely scenario? No, I do not. I think the SPY is maybe even today going to find some kind of top. We still have to pay attention to finding a top. I know my video yesterday, I was like, hey, yeah, PPI and CPI, they're cool to pay attention to, but have they overall crashed the market? No. The things that you could pay attention to, unemployment, banks failing, those are going to be the real reasons. Now, could PPI or CPI add to that? Could PPI do something, go up higher and then cause those yields to go up higher, and that causes a lot of banks to fail? That's what can really cause it. But do I think that is going to happen? Not necessarily at this moment. Now, if we were really being honest here, what could we see? Well, if we get some consolidation in this area, get some kind of handle, what could happen? We actually could head higher in this overall move. So that's what I'm really paying attention to for the SPY. That's what I'm really paying attention to for the Qs, right? We're going up into an area where it would be very fine to create some kind of cup and handle scenario. Maybe we want to climb a little bit higher. But what I'm seeing right now is a lot of things going outside of their monthly expected moves and things like that. Remember, you get those on Patreon. But we have Apple outside of its monthly expected move. IWM actually creating some possible trade setup as well. Remember, we added IWM to the to the weekly expected moves. Sorry about that. I had a little blip for a second. We added it to the weekly expected moves. I got to check if these are the correct daily expected moves because I don't know if I updated it. 583 to 279. So yes, those are the updated weekly expected moves there. 204.31. Yes, those are the weekly expected moves there. Just wanted to double check for you this morning. So what are we seeing? It's opening up higher. What do I want to pay attention to for IWM? IWM could set up a little trade here. Actually going up to higher levels. It could set up a trade early on this morning. It's outside of its daily expected move. If that rolls down from here, look at this chart. It is right next to that center. It's actually still like pretty much just above that center line. So if we see that weakness come in early on in the morning, that could be a sign that we actually are going to see this fade. But remember, this is the craziness, right? So this is happening early on in the day. There's a 68% chance we land down in this area. But as we do curl up and go positive, I'd be very cautious because something crazy can happen. We can head up to here. Maybe this is more of where a top would be for IWM. But if we're, pointing out something here, look at that divergence. If that completes, triple divergence on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So very, very cool levels here for IWM to pay attention to this morning. And then we can see the SPY and the Qs also going up to some key levels. So up in this area, what do you expect? You expect resistance, honestly. This is where you really expect resistance at these type of levels. So we're paying attention to the SPY. Let's get into the chat here. I'm going to pop off in like 5 minutes just to go make a coffee real quick. But first of all, we got to say hi to you guys in the chat. Good morning, good morning. Yay, 5K subscribers. Thank you guys so much for getting us to 5K. It's all because of you guys liking these videos and stuff like that. Remember, that's pretty much how you sponsor each video because we don't have sponsors or anything like that. Trust me, once they see how fast your channel is growing, and my channel is growing because of you guys, I get plenty of sponsorship emails, and I pretty much just delete them. The only one that I kind of paid attention to was Moo, but I just don't think I'll be doing that. I just don't think we'll be doing any kind of sponsorships. I really want to keep my opinions as my opinions. I don't want anyone in my ear, and I don't know if that would involve Moo telling me any information or anything like that, but I don't use their platform, so I'm not comfortable doing that, and I don't really want sponsors. I want to do this for you guys and just be helpful. That's the overall goal of this channel. As of right now, what are we seeing? Well, we're going right up to that monthly expected move. So we went to a concert last night. It was so much fun. It was just a blast. So a little bit tired because we went to a concert, but still feeling pretty good, ready to trade, ready to do some fun stuff this week. Gonna expect some volatility coming in. The Dow heading to higher levels as well. This could set up some kind of small divergence up in this area. Maybe we want to go hit my red line in the sand up there. AMD, this thing's still looking pretty weak as of right now. Remember, we talked about this dipping down early on in the week, and Meta finally seeing some resistance come in. And if that rolls negative, well, what can happen from here? This 2 hour could actually get the meaningful pullback at this point, and maybe we do test a lower level. So I will be paying attention to a lot of weekly expected moves this week. I think we have a good shot to touch the upside and the downside, but Meta right now is outside of its monthly expected move. So if that would tell you anything, maybe that tells you that in this month, this is as high as Meta wants to go. Now, this is a short squeeze, so something crazy can continue into the month of May. I want to be very clear about that. But as we are seeing start to roll over, this is looking like a pullback, right? This is looking like a pullback. And where is our weekly expected move? That's really what we want to pay attention to. I'm still looking at this 453.08. I think that's a key level to go test before we see more downside for this. Let's take a look over at Microsoft real quick. Starting to fade that move already this morning. Apple, are you fading that move already? Yeah, it's already starting to fade it. So as of right now, yeah, you're trying to curl up into positive territory. But if you want to say, there's a small divergence here, hey, I'm with you on that. If you wanted to say this is a cup, here's the handle. If we could see that strength up into this area, well, overall, this move, I kind of want it to fade because with the timeline of the information that we get, if we see a dramatic move up and then some kind of pullback of PPI and CPI is good for the market, hey, that would be kind of insane. It would mean Apple maybe gets a bigger move, but right now it looks like maybe we fade, PPI gives us a pop, or maybe we pop up just before PPI, that really drops off. So we have to really be on our toes just because some volatility is priced in this week. We can see that from the range of the SPY and the Qs. And Apple's outside of its monthly expected move. So a lot to pay attention to this morning. Google really dropping off, start trying to buy up on that. Google was really, really weak in this area. Remember, we were talking about one more pullback to now head higher. What are we doing? We're coming back into some liquidity here. So we could see this just turn right back around. We'll have to see what's going on. We'll have to see what the price action tells us and wait till something is very obvious before we take any kind of play. As of right now, SPY, seeing some resistance. Qs, seeing some resistance after this gap up, right? We're seeing some resistance levels here. Didn't fully test that daily expected move, though, for the Qs. Didn't really test it for the SPY, but hitting that monthly. So very, very interesting behavior this morning. Taylor Swift. No, we did not go see Taylor Swift. Yeah, we're in Kansas, but we did not go see Taylor Swift. No. It was called Emo Orchestra. So it's like if you guys like what Escape the Fate, Hawthorne Heights, that kind of stuff. They do those type of songs, and Escape the Fate was actually singing all the songs, and it's like a theater setting. We went to like a nice old school looking theater, and they just kind of like play with an orchestra. So they play all the emo songs from back in the day with an orchestra, and it was awesome. It was so cool. They even played some System of a Down with the orchestra. It was so awesome to see. So thank you guys. I hope you guys had a great Mother's Day. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys are fresh and ready to go this week, because we have some volatility priced in. We can see that from the SPY and the Qs. What do we have here as of right now? Well, the full range is like a 1.5 drop could be happening this week. So we do have volatility priced in. It's not like a small range, like a 1% range or something like that. It's a little medium range. So a little bit of volatility could come in this week as we hit that monthly expected move. System of the Down, I have that. That was a good one. All right, so just because I need to go make a coffee real quick, tried to sleep as much as possible so I could have some good energy for you guys. I'm just going to go make a coffee real quick and leave you guys on the SPY for a brief moment. But this is a great opportunity just to smash that like button. Maybe say hi in the chat. Say some kind of play that you're excited about. Say what you think is going to happen with PPI and CPI. Do you think PPI is good news? Do you think CPI is bad news? Do you think PPI is bad news and CPI is good news? Let's really find out what's going on with this market before some big data drops. And then we really don't stop there. We also get a Jerome Powell talk, which he's talking about banks, so we can take that, with a grain of salt. But we also do get, I think, retail sales, some job data. We have a lot of Fed speakers. So there's a lot going on this week, and we have to pay attention. So I'm going to leave you here. And just let me know what your opinion is so I can read it when I get back, all right? I'll be back in 2 minutes. Just going to pour myself a cup of coffee. GME's crushing it. I'll go check. The data starts to come out pretty much tomorrow. So pretty much from tomorrow on, we just have data drop after data drop. So be right back. 2 minutes. Yeah, what the heck? I go get coffee and that happens? What the heck is that? My goodness. All right, looks like first thing in the morning here. What are we getting? And some people, oh God, guys can't just leave when I go get coffee. What do you guys think this is? What do you guys think this is? Come on now. No, it's fine. I know, everyone's searching for that info all the time. I totally understand it. But good morning, BK. Good morning, Slot Machine. Good morning, Chris. Look at that resistance level coming in right at that monthly expected move. So what does that tell us as of right now? This level very important. This level very important. Why? Because, well, rejection. So if we're able to break through that, that's going to be very, very bullish. So I'm going to say this. You guys want to know my take? Who wants to know my take on what this data is going to be? This is a total speculative prediction, nothing to do with any kind of charts or anything like that. I mean, it is kind of how the charts look right now, actually. Based on how the charts look, this is how I think the best scenario that could play out is we see some kind of drop of PPI. I really think maybe we see a drop of PPI and CPI, like CPI comes in lackluster, and then something else convinces us to go up by the end of the week. I do kind of think that we're going to get one more big trap in this. Like there's going to be a big trap to the downside and then a big trap to the upside. And then I think something like that will happen over time. And then maybe we'll get that top in May, or maybe we bust down until NVIDIA earnings, that sends us higher, and then something's ripped away after that. So we'll pay attention to these things. But as of right now, that we just know this is a very, very important level. This is a very, very important level. But whether that is PPI's bad news and CPI's good news, we'll see. But as of right now, you'd have to say, we just know that this level's very, very important. Okay, 522.69. We already have it marked off. If we get above that, we can start to squeeze even more. So we are in a very bullish context. Oh yeah, we gotta check GME. We gotta check GME because apparently that thing's moving. We like trolled a guy, didn't we? Remember that guy there's that guy that came in and he kept talking about GME? And we totally were just like, nah, man, nah. But he, relatively, he's pretty dang right here. So this is a very, very big move. Pretty much, it looks like a short squeeze to me. I don't know exactly why this thing would go up. Roaring Kitty is back and GameStop stock is rallying. The company still is struggling to make money. The company is still struggling to make money. Stock go up. That's the world we live in. That's the stock market we live in right now. Is company struggles, stock go up. Tesla struggles, stock go up. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. Let's go check on Netflix. I really wanted to check on this guy. I think this guy's got a good opportunity maybe to drop down. That looks pretty flaggy to me. I'm shorting DJT before election. Doesn't matter who wins. DJT. Let's go check that. But yeah, very, very cool from GameStop there. But is that going to last? We'll find out. It very well can, especially if we get some good data, we get some more positivity, and people keep trying to short it. It can last longer. As of right now, what are we seeing? Big upward move. Now we're starting to taper, right? Starting to do this, right? Originally just going straight up, and now coming across a little bit. So we have to pay attention to some signals in here. What could be forming? 2-hour divergences. So that did confirm and then unconfirm. And guess what? You may have another opportunity here, right? So we may have another opportunity here if this can just get some kind of little pop, create that divergence, or maybe you get double top right now. I'm sure that 15-minute was able to cross, and now we can see if that is able to actually confirm downside. You got to be a little bit worried about cup and handle, right, on a 15-minute, but that push wouldn't be the biggest. So we could create another thing up in this area for DJT, and then that might be a good little position. And hopefully you were able to take the course or something over the weekend, and you can make some weekly expected moves from getting that info from the course. And then you can say, oh, well, DJT, this is a big move. If it continues to be a big move, oh, this is where it should be a little worried, confirms that divergence. Okay, this thing's probably going to head down from here and get some kind of pullback, if not some kind of crash. So it totally makes sense. I get it. I get the levels you guys are paying attention to. This squeeze craziness looks like it needs to kind of pull back a little bit, but it doesn't mean it has to. It just means, we have to be on our toes. This is a big divergence as well for a double top. But note that this is still in positive context on the bigger time frames. We have to get confirmation of those bigger time frames rolling down into negative territory, a 2-hour first, then a daily. And the daily hasn't even crossed over on that MACD. So we really have to talk about the stock market still bullish until that trend really shows up on the 30-minute, until that trend goes negative on the 2-hour, until that trend goes negative on the daily. And that was kind of the overall like big thing I was going over with last night's video. They halted you again. I can't buy. Ah, God, they did it again. Shorted Netflix. Netflix, yeah, down 0.5% this morning. Hey for Trump makes DJT really susceptible to short squeezes. I would say that too. I mean, at this point, like what everything looks like I understand maybe hating Trump from a Twitter and tweets perspective, but if you hate him based on policy, it just seems not the most correct, because all the policies we're seeing now are policies that canceled out all of Trump's, and look at the economy. Now, you could argue that this was going to happen regardless and all that, like the money pumping would happen regardless, but you got to think, Trump's a businessman. I don't know if he would allow that to continue. And one of the big things that they cut out, which caused the money supply to increase very, very heavily, which during his time there, he increased it heavily. He actually, I think, threatened Jerome Powell and said, lower these rates, which was one of the biggest mistakes in Fed history, right? I think that was 2017 or something like that, when we should have raised the rates and kept them higher. We actually cut them dramatically. So that was kind of a point where we needed to raise those rates, and then they were like, yeah, we're going to raise them, and then stocks started to crash a little bit, and then we were like, just kidding. Look at INTC, but overall, what he did to take it out of the system was the money, like the PPP loans, and the big thing was with PPP loans and the stimulus money in any way was supposed to stop come the June or something after. It was June 2021 it was supposed to stop, or June 2020 or something like that. No, it was June 2021. I think it was June 2021 it was supposed to stop, and it continued. So then we got higher up, and that's where we actually started to see that inflation go into the system. So Trump 2023. Tesla got filled to 177. Could happen. Let's go look at INTC real quick. Let's go look at Intel. See what's going on with this. All right, we're seeing a big move up. What did we have down here? We almost had that divergence, right? Possible double bottom going on here. Seeing a big move up on the 15-minute, 30-minute, able to curl up and go positive at this moment. So it looks like a big move. And we kind of talked about how this has been beat up for a little while. We talked about the 30-minute divergence. Now that's pretty spread out, so I would like to see maybe a 2-hour divergence or something like that. Did we have it? Yes, we did. We did have these divergences on the RSI, okay? And then we had the divergence, I would say, across the way here for the MACD, and then the rejection here is a good signal. So if this can go positive, you can see that for quite some time. So right now, with this kind of behavior, you really want to see if these daily charts are able to roll up. They are, and they were able to do that, what is that, a couple days ago? They were able to do that a couple days ago. So around that time, you should be like, okay, I shouldn't short this thing anymore because some kind of bounce is coming. Maybe it wants to retest the 20, and then we can see that fade back down. Maybe something like that is going on here. Maybe an hourly chart's going to be your friend. Look at that divergence down at these levels. Buy zone, all right, redo, get another buy point here, and now that heads up. So solid move for Intel. Not even overbought or anything like that yet. How would this one head higher? Well, this right here is going to be very, very important. Maybe this is where we start to see that, do something like this. And this would be the argument of, okay, this, and then PPI is bad for the market, and then CPI is good for the market. That would be this scenario in my mind. So we'll have to see what the reaction to the data is this week. Remember, guys, keep a closer eye on unemployment and I would say bank failures. You can literally type bank failure list on Google, and you can see the bank failure list, and you're going to see we haven't had this many bank failures since 2008. Microsoft is ripping. Microsoft is ripping through. Look at that. It just gave up the entire move. Did Apple? Apple still holding at higher levels, but Microsoft, remember, this is when I was like, okay, so here's the thing about Apple, Microsoft, based on our analysis, right? Apple already pulled down. Apple already pulled down. It looks like it can make the second move. Sure, it's already getting a little overbought. It's probably going to fade this move, but probably isn't good enough for me to take a trade. And then the difference here between Microsoft is Microsoft was cooked, right? We already had those divergences. Even on an hourly scale, you see those divergences. On a 30-minute scale, you see that divergence very significant at this point. Looks like it needs some kind of pullback. So what would we look at? 2 hour. If this can actually get some firm turn down here, we can get that pullback and then see that positivity continue. We still have to talk about this in positive context. Why? Positive territory, right? Positive territory. So if this beats down to the center line, turns right back up, well, this was a big cup and handle. And the thing is, when you have a cup and handle that's wonky like this is more buyers. This is more liquidity in this area here. So this is going to be great if this can turn back up. We can see another rapid move, but I'd be careful if we start to randomly just go to like 445, 450, especially before like something like NVIDIA earnings. Things look a little bit sick in the market. So what do we want to pay attention to? Is HYG confirming an upward move? It's trying to. Looks very flaggy here, but overall in the grand scheme of things, this thing is not confirming any all-time highs or anything like that for the SPY and the Qs. So that would tell you, yeah, smart money's not convinced yet to get in this overall move, and most of the time they are right. Most of the time they are right. Okay, so this is where we do cup and handle. So the likelihood that we do head higher and squeeze more, I would say I'm more leaning towards that as of right now, but we have to be on our toes. Is the main consensus with my thinking. Now, what's happening? IWM trying to fade the move, but it's pretty much like if we're on our toes, we're trading like water. It's pretty much this week we could change our stance almost every day, and that's kind of crazy. But we could literally change our tone every single day. And AMC, I don't know if this is going to see the same thing as GME. It looks like it's trying to, right? It's trying to go positive here with some consolidation. On the 2 hour here, trying to go positive, but already overbought, already kind of pulling back down. So nothing too much there. Bitcoin, what was happening with this? Well, overnight, I kind of took a peek at this last night, noticed some possible divergence down here on the 2 hour, which led me to believe, hey, you know, Bitcoin looks like it might head higher. The actual big move for Bitcoin might be happening soon. And sometimes that reaction after the halving is pretty delayed. So as of right now, you would say, well, if that reaction is usually delayed, maybe that reaction is going to happen right now, and we'll pay attention to that. So it's an environment where we kind of have to be on our toes, and we have to flip back and forth probably all week because we get a lot of data. And so we have to pay attention, but it would be very nice if the market gave us a 2 hour pullback over the next couple of days, and then we see that start to pop back up over time. So we'll pay attention. If PPI is really bad for the market, watch out for this. We could really take that out, get into this zone, and then literally the next day CPI is good and see that just rocket up. So I'd pay attention to that. And then it's funny because if CPI is good, it's like, oh, well, then we get data the next day. They are halting the GME squeeze. It's going to move to AMC. It very well might. That'd be very, very cool. That'd be interesting. So something we can pay attention to right now, dollar dropping off. So is this move real? As of right now, you'd say, yeah, but it's still at higher levels than here. And that's where the last big push was. So in this overall move, dollar's broken down, but it's able to hold up a little bit better. So the insiders probably still not buying this. They're still selling into this move. Now you could say the people are buying back in, the insiders are buying back in. I think that the data this week is really going to rip this around. We got to see if we can take back 105.65 or if that's just going to keep dropping off. That'll be very telling. Volatility actually seeing another upward move here. See if that 2 hour can go positive, right? That's what we were talking about last night. It's creeping up towards that positive territory, or yesterday. It's creeping up towards that positive territory, which means what? Volatility can go into a positive trend over the next few days. And just watch out. During a squeeze and things like that, that can be ripped away very quickly. Let's go look at like a bear market squeeze real quick. If you just like zoom out on the daily scale and you see the last time, you know, the bear market over here. Now we're not in a bear market, so it's not necessarily the same. But look at these squeezes that used to happen in this bear market. We would get days and days of buying, like one pullback and then days and days of buying, one pullback and then days and days of buying. So right now, what do we have as far as a squeeze goes? We have days of buying, one little pullback, and then really this was where the squeeze happened. So right now you have days and days of buying, no pullback yet. So on the daily scale, what would I like to see? I'd really like to see us test the 50 and test the 20. And Those just happen to be lining up right now, I just noticed, with the weekly expected move. So I really would like to see that happen, and then maybe we can be convinced. But just note that we can move sideways. We can still ride this 5 all the way up. So if we start to do this very early on, this is where I would get worried, because we have that divergence now, and we have a MACD that's close to negative territory. So if weakness comes at this level, that would be a very, very scary thing for the stock market. But that needs to happen early on in the week. Are we going to see that? As of right now, it looks like we don't have the gas, which kind of convinces me that this will continue upward next week. But I'm going to be paying close attention to the data. What if both CPI and PPI are bad? Could this take us to April 19 low? It feels like it's all set up for a move down. Yeah, one thing that could form here, one scenario we didn't really talk about, was if both are bad, I'm just going to say most likely they don't let something like this happen. But if both of those are bad, then you could do something like this. But that would be very, very dramatic from just a couple pieces of data. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I don't think we've ever seen a time where it's like, oh, CPI was bad, unless CPI comes in like extremely, extremely hot, which I am not leaning towards at this point. We haven't seen that happen, but every single CPI reading, even the bad ones, we've never seen a big move like boom. We've never seen like a 10 or what is this? What is this? A 6% move or 5% move to beat that low to over one reading. So I'm not necessarily leaning towards that, because the problem with this is, like, once people see CPI, the next day we're going to get more data. So if you see a drop down to here and you're like, oh, this can continue, it very well could, and then you get another piece of data and you end up here. So I'm not necessarily convinced. Yes, I'm still leaning towards the top in May. I still have all the things here that tell me this is going to be major resistance, but this week could be important, and maybe we see that push up, maybe we do this, maybe we push a little higher, and then that is ripped away. So now I know that's in context, it would be more like this, right? That's what I would more see. It'd be a little bit quicker. But that's why we have to be on our toes this week. This week is going to be very, very important. So anybody got a play they're very, very excited about? Tesla, what's up with it? Well, Tesla was one that we were notifying about how it is tight and it could see a breakout, right? When the price gets tight, we could get a breakout to see an upward move. The problem with Tesla, well, that weekly expected move is right above you. So if we hit that weekly expected move very early on in the week, that's when we can really pay attention. Remember, guys, I just got a new place. So we're going to finalize that today. Later in a little bit. So I'm finalizing that in a little while. And overall, I'm just telling you that because on Patreon, so if you want to join the Patreon, I'm going to start up doing those weekly videos again. Every single week, we're going to give you a video, hopefully on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, showing you some moves that are outside of these ranges, talking about those stocks. And then maybe we'll even tell you about if they're not moving outside of those ranges. Okay, now we have the potential by Wednesday, okay, for that to do something crazy. So we'll be adding that back into the Patreon soon. Just know this is getting overbought. This will most likely have to consolidate. Where would you want to go to? Well, it's at that next point of liquidity. So if it needs to, it could drop back down like this and then see that curl back up. So what I want to pay attention to now is if this can just fade a little bit and then curl back up, that would be a very positive thing for Tesla. I'm still leaning towards, remember, I think that this 180.92 is very, very important. If we see a breakout, maybe that busts down, and then we're able to see that turn back up by the end of the week. So that's what I'd be paying attention to for Tesla. Congrats, thank you so much. Back in or ride down? Well, I would more so if I see something like this on a 30-minute, I'm not really getting too excited for upside unless the 2 hour is showing me some stuff and I have room on my ranges, which right now for Tesla, you can see a crazy thing happen. Okay, so we can see a crazy thing happen. Remember, this is a very positive move. It beat down to the center line. If that curls up, yeah, it can be wonky for a little bit, but overall, that would lead me to believe, hey, we might end up towards 205 if this 2 hour can curl up and go positive. And then at that point, so this is more what I'm talking about. This is more when I'm talking about, okay, if we take some time in this overall move, we get up to this area, and then somewhere like at the end of May, we just see some kind of crash happen. That's more when I would be paying attention to it. But remember, we have to be aware, we could just create a right shoulder, right? We could just create a right shoulder for Tesla. So Tesla kind of doing what I think it should be doing, going up from this area, and then seeing if we can get some sellers to come in, and then around this area, around that right shoulder, if we form that, that's when we'll have to decide, are we going to break down, or are we just going to see the scoop back up and let the craziness continue? And one reason that I was saying the craziness can continue in my video last night was because of this. I just wanted to show you guys. I don't know if this is, I think this is the right one. Let me see. Zoom into it. I'll show you guys why they're allowing the craziness to continue. Okay, so this is probably not the perfect chart to really watch, but if I really zoom this thing in, we're going to see this. So this here, this is the M2, right? So this here is October, and this is where we saw that bottom. And then what's happened since then? Well, money's coming back into the system, right? So money's really coming back into the system right now. So as of right now, into pretty much March of 2024, we saw a big load of money come in. We got to see what's happening with this, but pretty much it's like, yeah, they're pumping money back into the system. That's what you need to know. And now Tesla could see something crazy happen, by the way. So really pay attention to the weekly expected moves, because if there's no weakness at those, we can really just burst through and see an ABC pattern, right? We can see boom, boom, boom happen. And then this is where I would be a little bit more worried about Tesla. Not necessarily right now. It's been beat down. It looks like it wants to curl up across the center line. Not necessarily going to trade anything with Tesla, though, just because there's a weekly range up here. It's not how I like to do things for my setups. I would like to show, I really would have liked like a weekly range to be here, and then the price action to be here. That drops down, gets to that weekly expected move. Then I see some upward move or see some divergence on a 30-minute. That would convince me like, hey, yeah, this has some room, some good room left in it. As of right now, what are you seeing? Well, the 30 minutes already getting overbought. So, and we didn't really have divergences down here. So that tells me what could happen. Well, we could do this, and then that move comes. And this would be a better looking trade for my style. I want to point that out. For my style, that would be a better trade. What are we seeing from Meta? Meta was one that I was like, this thing looks like it's really going to pull back. Yeah, it landed outside that weekly expected move, and that's why I take a couple weeks out, because I could see something crazy happen. First crossing down on the 2 hour here. I believe that will continue unless PPI just goes, nope. You know, so we have to really react based on the data here. I'm going to click through all the stocks that we cover on my other screen here. I'm going to leave you guys on the spot. I'm just going to click through and see if we have anything else going on. If we have anything else that is trying to test some weekly expected moves. As of right now, it looks like the SPY obviously going up towards that monthly. Okay, we still have room for that. The Q's testing that daily, and then we have, well, actually, was the Q? Sometimes I forget to update them on this one. It almost did. It came a little bit below it. So we still have some room to the upside for the Qs on that daily expected move. IWM, trying to head up towards that monthly expected move, and we know this is already outside its daily. So IWM really telling us early on in the day, like, hey, I'm probably going to fade. But doesn't mean it has to. We have to wait for those signals to actually confirm. Okay, so as of right now, you have the 15-minute that is up there. Okay, this could be cup and handle. So let's show you guys IWM, because that looks like a good one to pay attention to right now. This is outside of its daily expected move. This is very, very good to pay attention to. What are we seeing the 15-minute? Well, we see a big cup and handle. We see a big, big handle. If you want to say cup as well, this looks like a cup into a cup, which could form a handle. That's what I would say. Cup into a cup, which could form a handle. And then if PPI is good, we could start to head up. So from this area, you have to say positive territory, very, very overbought, kind of just flatness of divergences on the RSI down there. And you could create some kind of divergence right now, but you do have a divergence across the board here, right? From this high right here, you do have these divergences here. So we can pay attention. It looks like this is where we're making a move outside of that daily expected move very early on in the day. This is one that has a good likelihood to fade, right? Now, if that takes a lot of time and that stays above this move, and then we see some kind of cross up by end of day, right? We do something like this. Okay, then that's not going to be it. We're going to see one of those crazy times. So that's all I would say. A lot of puts coming into the market as of right now. Let me keep clicking through. Apple, not there yet. It's getting close. It's getting close. It's kind of going up to an area that could be important, right? Trying to test those previous highs back from Friday, May 3rd, pretty much. So we'll pay attention to that going forward. Tesla, and what's that doing? It's already getting up towards this weekly expected move. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's the best setup. I'm kind of banking on a 32% chance for something crazy. If I'm really following the signals, you can go with it. Just know we have a lot of data. I would not risk too much this week because we get data after data after data after data. So I would be very, very cautious risking a bunch of money this week. Right, I think I still have my $1,000 in shorts, and that's like all I have going on right now. NVIDIA, this thing, trying to break down, still in positive context on the 15-minute. Let's see, what was it? It wasn't at the 2-hour. The 2-hour was pointing down, and the 30-minute looked like it had some work to do. As of right now, crossing down. So NVIDIA kind of telling you like, hey, I need to head to lower levels. But it's building a bunch of liquidity. So whatever move it chooses tomorrow is going to be a pretty big one. What can we do? We could head all the way down towards like 850 or something like that. So if we look over at NVIDIA, I'm just going to show you guys this on the 30-minute. This is what we talked about in last night's video. Was pretty much, if this actually rolls over and goes negative, that means that the direction is most likely down, and I want to see it touch this trend line. That's what I would overall say for NVIDIA. What could that cause? Well, the 2-hour has already been beaten up for a little bit. That can get a little closer to the center line, and then we can see that cross up kind of midweek, and then that would say, hey, yeah, I got some room in this MACD. I got some room in this RSI. But what can we see from now? Well, we could see it drop all the way down to 850 before that bases out. Am I leaning towards that? Not necessarily. I think we do something like this. Maybe we even cut through this trend, and then we make the next move higher. That's what I think would go on with NVIDIA, but doesn't matter what I think. I just have to pay attention to what the charts are actually saying to me, what the charts are actually proving in front of me. As of right now, something like Meta, that thing looks like it wants to pull back. So let's keep clicking through. AMD, trying to make the upward move now, it looks like. So an upward move from here, yeah, you can get up towards that 160 level, right? We can get up towards that 160 level. We can get up towards here this week, and then maybe this is where some volatility comes in. We dip down into this zone, and we see that head and shoulders prove itself. So we just have to be patient. I'm being patient. I have one play that I'm like, I said, screw this market. I'm willing to lose $1,000 for it. Just take a total, hey, we're screaming higher and things don't look very good. We're outside of monthly expected moves. So I'm taking a play like that, but it's not necessarily anything that's like smart, or you know what I mean? So I'm just doing that as a way to have some money out there, but not necessarily risking too much. Let's keep clicking through. We got Meta, right? Meta starting to break down. That was outside of its monthly. Now it's back within its monthly. So this is an opportunity here for it to pull back more dramatically. We hit the top side of the month, almost just barely below halfway through the month. So we could see, if you look at the monthly expected moves, technically by the end of the month, we could end all the way down towards like 400 for Meta. And that's something very, very scary. But is that likely to happen? We'll see. As of right now, okay, this is what I want to show you guys. This is like something that I would put in my video, actually, because on the Patreon videos, I can show you the weekly expected moves. I'm going to tell you right now, this is telling you weakness. This is telling you extreme weakness at this level, just because Microsoft's outside of its monthly expected move. Now, that can continue throughout the month, right? We can see that dip down, maybe come back up, get this going like this. But as of right now, seeing that fade below that monthly expected move, that is something that we would definitely point out in those Patreon videos. So let's keep clicking through. Let's look at Google. As of right now, Google trying to hold up, kind of completing a cup, though, if you want to look at that. So Google trying to complete some kind of cup. I would say that cup really needs to come down to 165.11. The problem with this is that would say some kind of dramatic drop is coming, because maybe we go outside of that weekly expected move, towards the end of the week. So be very cautious with this here. You got weekly expected moves for Google over on Patreon that can help you out. Lastly, TLT. So TLT does have some upside room, and it's kind of confirming a move higher as of right now. 30-minute able to go positive. Okay, so we're going to be paying close attention to TLT. Very close attention to TLT here, because if this keeps curling up into positive territory, that's going to mean more positive price action. Right, and this is maybe what the overall market needs to look like after a pullback. So if we see that difference between TLT and the market, where TLT is actually heading up while the market pulls back, That would be very, very interesting. But as of right now, it looks like, hey, what needs to happen? I need to curl up on these MACDs. Maybe I need to go a little bit smaller, go into an hourly and see if that confirms. And then I can say, okay, up towards that weekly expected move is likely. Maybe we even go touch our trend line up in this area towards 92 or 92.50. But as of right now, what would you say? Well, we could get some kind of pop higher as long as the hourly is able to confirm an upward move. The RSI already doing that. The RSI already doing that. That is the leading indicator, and then the MACD kind of lags behind. I'm going to check on gold real quick. What are we seeing from gold? Gold really dropping off here. So gold actually dropping off dramatically. Kind of actually makes sense, right? You have the dollar. Actually, really, gold you'd want to catch a bid because the dollar is dropping off. Interesting. Now, the reason that it could make sense is like Bitcoin's really pumping, so maybe people are betting on Bitcoin instead of gold. What are we seeing on the hourly? Well, we could curl down into down to the center line and then see that kind of build back up over time. We'll have to pay attention if that's going to come, or are we going to see this fully break down from here? Are we going to see this go boom, boom, and just break down? Well, this has to go negative. And then I know I can test the low and go make a new one. Maybe I pay attention to a divergence in the future. Remember, we were pointing out gold. This was a great setup down here for a double bottom. You even got that 2-hour divergence down here on the MACD. You got that 2-hour divergence on the RSI. So you knew a big pop was coming. We pop up, we rebuild, we pop up again. Very, very good move, but that is dropping off pretty dramatically there. Cool. Let's go take a look. I know we looked at TLT. I just want to look at yields for a second on just a daily scale, see what's going on with this. We're really just consolidating at this level, and most likely before big news, we don't do much, right? I don't think we do much before that big move. I think you just want to see, do we cross back above this wick right here? Okay, do we cross back above 4.52, or do we cross below the low here of 4.420? So do we cross below this level, or do we cross up above this level? The thing is, this is still in positive context. So if this wants to see a move higher, all it has to do is cross up on this MACD this week, and then we're going to see those rates start to go even higher. Maybe that is what causes that bank pressure, which then causes those banks to fail, which is really what we are paying attention to. We are paying attention to bank failures. I think that is the most likely thing that is going to really disrupt this market. And then with the bank failures, what happens? Well, shortly after, we see unemployment really start to tick up. So you get bank failures, then about a month later, you'll get unemployment really ticking up with multiple banks failing. And then after that, we notice that the stock market starts to crash. So don't think, and then that's where they're like forced to cut. Right, they're forced to cut because all these banks are failing. So when the cut actually does happen, especially in this environment where they're just keeping it higher and reacting to data, which is just interesting to me. I mean, I wonder if Jerome Powell is holding his stocks at this level. That's what I would say. All right, let's go back over to volatility. This thing's starting to scale up. Remember, the big thing to pay attention to with volatility, now we get a pop. We get a pop. This was the squeeze. Now we get a pop. We got to see if that's going to drop back off down to 12.12. The good part about pops like this is the 2-hour can go up from here. Yes. And we do have divergences across the way. Yes. But nothing really, I would say, significant. Nothing really to pay attention to as far as divergences go. Now, that doesn't have to create a divergence. It can just keep going. So if we get bad data, like you're saying, if that piles on, we can see volatility really increase and then see those yields go nuts higher. As of right now, even Tom Lee saying, yeah, I think that people are reading too much into inflation going extremely higher. That's what I'm saying. It's like, in order for inflation, in order for CPI and PPI to be the reason that the stock market crashes, which we have not seen, it gave us some correction and we went up and down and it was a great market to trade in for me. I loved it. But did it overall crash the stock market like I'm thinking the stock market's going to crash? No. No, that bear market, it did not crash the stock market down to extremely low levels. If anything, you could say that was a very, very dramatic correction in the market. And now we had higher. And I think that was a dramatic correction, not necessarily a bear market or a crash, is because we hit all-time highs again. I think that is the proof right there. I don't think that was the real crash, and now I think we're going to get the real one in the next year. But I'm still leaning towards that top in May, and we'll see if it happens in the next few weeks. All right, let me just keep my eye on some things. Meta, what are you doing? Now, one play I did take at the very end of Friday, pretty much. Very end of Friday, I did take a short on Meta. So I'm going to hold that sucker and see if that thing drops off. So I did take a short on Meta. This is one that just at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I'm convinced this needs some kind of pullback. If this wants to drop down to lower levels, down towards that 453 level, I'll be very excited because I think that's where we could bottom out for Meta. As of right now, what do I want to pay attention to? Well, I still have to pay attention to how I can get screwed out of a trade. So if this 30-minute, look at that, it's down towards the center line. The 30-minute, down towards the center line. If that wants to curl back up at any time, I will be out of that move. I'll take a small loss. Perfectly fine with me. I was very in the money down here. Now it's starting to come back on me. I'm almost a little bit higher. I'll be breaking even. And then if that wants to turn back up over time, that's perfectly fine with me. I just get out of that play. I know that's not the moment, and I wait for it to set up for me again. Look at what you guys are talking about. NVIDIA up. Excellent analysis. Thank you so much, Bubblicious. I really appreciate the good vibes. You know what I'm saying? New Chat GPT search engine announcement today. Google likely get hit. Oh no. Oh no. Gemini's not going to do well anymore, Google. Joe Jacks, bunch of fucking crooks. E-Trade's still not working. Yeah, that's why I don't even... if you want to know another reason I don't participate in the GME, the AMC, all that craziness is because once you're about to make a bunch of money, what do? They just turn off trading. And guess what? Guess who doesn't get turned off their trading? Rich people, right? The top 1%, you think they're not allowed to sell their shares or something right now? If Nancy Pelosi wanted to sell her shares right now because she saw a big pop and she played the GME play, do you think she's not allowed to sell her shares? That's what I thought. Yeah, we know. Yeah, I won't participate in any of that. Can you check gold again? Yeah, well, let's look at gold again and just really try to figure out if this is gonna... Ooh, oil making another big move higher. Crazy move from oil there. What are we seeing here on the 30-minute scale? Well, we got really overbought. So what would you say up in this area? Well, we need to pull back. And where would we pull back to? Well, this zone here, very important. The thing about this zone, why this is kind of an overzealous move, is because if you really wanted the good structure to head higher, this is kind of why I'm like, the market could crack, because we're not getting that structure to head higher. So if we get that structure, I'd be more convinced. So right now, the 30-minute curling down to the center line, curls back up. Okay, another positive move coming, and then we could see maybe test of the high, go make a new one. But as of right now, this is way overexcited. The one that actually looked better, I think, was silver. I think this one was working well. And you're noticing what? It's able to hold up better. Okay, so when you get excited, you can see those rips to the downside. And as of right now, it looks like what? Well, silver's making that upward move. We don't really have divergences on the RSI. We have a flatness of the MACD, so we can get some kind of pullback, but that pullback most likely won't be as dramatic. Maybe it goes to the breakout, maybe towards 2520 or something like that, and we just retest the level we broke out from. But I just wanted to show you how the structure was better for silver because we came up towards this level a little bit better. Gold, what happened? We cut that a little short. See how we cut that short? We didn't come all the way up to this 217.21 and then create that right shoulder. Now we're going to see this pull back dramatically because we did not do the correct thing with the price action. So what happens? The buyers get tired, the sellers can take over when something like that happens. Decades ago, when I was trying to get a copy equity fund in Chicago, I presented to a group out of the CBOE, and I think that they had direct data feeds way back then. Thus, yes, they can sell. Exactly. That's why I won't participate in that stuff. Like if you, there's actually a fun Netflix series or maybe it was a movie about the GameStop craziness with like that streamer. It's a very fun one to watch for like traders like us. I think it's fun because you get to see the emotional side. I think that is very cool to watch for the emotional side. Does anyone know the name of that like movie or whatever that was about GameStop and like that craziness that happened? And they tried to sue the guy that like started it on, Reddit and stuff like that, or Twitch, and think like he was a streamer. I thought it was a very well done movie actually, because you get to see dumb money. Yeah, you get to see the emotional side of the market. So if you're someone who's new and you truly want to see like how emotional stocks can make you, go look at that. And then also like they're doing it kind of as like knights in shining armor, and you literally see them make hundreds of thousands of dollars, hold it to screw over other people, hold it to screw over the rich people, and then they lose all of it, and then they buy back in, and it happens even bigger, and they're rewarded for it. It's a crazy movie. Watched it on the plane last week, made me cry. It was very very cool. But I'm just telling you right now, do they allow that to happen again? Look how quickly they're stepping in this time. Oh, trading's off magically. Last time wasn't it? The trading was off once it hit like $100 or like $200 or something. Now notice that the trading's going to stop at $30. They're not going to allow it to happen again. Money's being pumped into the system. New Era GLD, are you still here? I'm sorry, I didn't see that comment. New Era GLD. It's the M2. So that level I was showing you is the M2 money supply. So that is money being pumped in the system. That's all you need to know. That chart right there showed you we bottomed in October, money was being pumped in. We saw a pullback, and then in March, money got pumped in. So that's it. So if you really want to pay attention to when, they're pumping money into the system, you can just literally type M2 money supply and go look at that on Fred. And all that means to you, by the way, is don't be on the wrong side. Don't be trying to short stuff, because the market will go up regardless of what like it really will. It will just continue to be crazy to the upside, because they're literally just putting fake money into the system again. They're continuing the craziness, and that's why I keep saying that. I'm like, the craziness can continue. The craziness can continue. The craziness can. Because I'm looking at that, I'm just like, God, that is just silly. You want me to help you carry her out? Okay. I'll be right back, guys. The girls are going to go check out the new place real quick. So I'm going to take baby girl out because she's heavy. She's a heavy girl now. I'll be right back. All right, 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Yeah, New Era Gold. I highly suggest you go pull up the M2 right now and just zoom out from like 2000 and look at that, and then look at charts, and you'll be like, wow, this thing's rigged. right, we're back. Sorry. Oh, some technical service issues. Yeah, exactly. So that's all you have to look at, New Era Gold. And that's something to keep a good eye on. Like if, oops, sorry about that. Wrong one. That's a good thing to keep an eye on. Always good to look at the money supply, look at what they're actually doing, and they're pumping money into the system. Okay. So they're trying to squeeze us back. Yeah, they're trying to, at least for GME, I think. Ooh, sorry, I'm out of breath. I did that really quick so I get back with you guys. And the other thing is, you guys said congratulations on 5K before my own wife. That's messed up, and I think she owes me dinner. Are all the platforms you're not able to trade it as of right now? Wow, we're losing out on profits. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened last time, except it happened at higher levels, so. If it happens again exactly the same way, notice this too. Like, don't think that also you could say the craziness with GME could happen again because, well, look what they do every single time with the stock market. Every single time they create a bubble in the stock market, it crashes, and they say it's different this time. So technically, I'm saying it might be different this time. It might not. So what do we want to pay attention to? Let's see what's going on. What we can do. When was the exact year of that big move? Let's go look at that. All right, there you go. So this was when they did that. It was like right. It was early on. Look at that. Maybe it was. I don't know. They stopped the trading at some point that really pulled it down. Maybe it's on the daily scale. What? Wyckoff, VWAP, break, oh buddy, puts will pay bigly. On what? On what? On God. Okay, so like if you're thinking this move's gonna happen twice, remember this was just a few days. This took about, from the top, it took a month. So you would say this: if at any time this big move stays above the 200 and crosses back above, well, you might get some kind of big pop. So if you were gonna do something with this, I would just say, hey, like $500 if that crosses into positive territory, right? And then see something crazy happen. Or like crosses above the moving averages, treat it like a swing trade and be like, all right, sick. I'm going to let that thing ride and take like month out calls or something. That's what I would do if I wanted to do it. So I might even do that just for fun. $500, because you can turn $500 with an option play, and that goes all the way up towards like 84. You take an option towards like 45 or something like that, and it just booms over a month. Like that's what I would say. Let's look at what's happening as of today, though. We have to scroll way over. I'm so sorry about... Why am I not doing this? Oh, guys. It's fading. That is a good move, man. Ed, CH, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for subscribing. Everyone, welcome Ed into the chat. All right, can we get some welcome, Ed? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So crossed up, when did it go positive? Right here. So this bar here could convince you like, yeah, something crazy could happen, but it's outside the Bollinger. It's getting above the 200 though. Overall, it's like if I was a believer in this and I was like very obsessed with it, I would probably have waited for this MACD to cross right here. This is where I take like a 2-month up option and I take something like, you know, $20 or something like that. Then now you get paid. But you notice, when can I get paid? Right now. And now what if I can't sell? Like, that's very, very scary. Congrats on 5K. Also noticed the M2 hasn't had a dip like this in a while, if ever, and every time it did, there was a parabolic move up. Exactly. So that's them saying, you know, usually you'll see those parabolic moves up in the M2 money supply. Like, you'll go back and look at COVID. You'll go back and look at COVID was one of the most massive ones, right? So pretty much M2 was like, oh, we get saved, we get saved, we get saved, COVID, we get saved, and it goes off the chart, right? It's kind of insane. Dollar, I just want to make sure I'm paying. Ooh, volatility starting to creep up here. What's going on in this stock market, guys? Are we seeing this breakdown? Are we seeing that 2-hour crossover? Are we seeing that pullback on the 2-hour we've actually been looking for? Interesting. Apple, what are you doing? You look like you're going to go make that 2-hour divergence right now. Tesla, starting to fade that move. That's why I wasn't really convinced. The 30-minute not really convincing me. Like, there's just not enough room. Now, if this does this, and then I see a 30-minute divergence, this is, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this is where Tesla becomes a good play. This is where Tesla becomes a good play. All right? We're going to really tell you guys. You guys, we hit 5K, so we're going to see if we can form some good stuff here. All right? Let's see if we can find a good play for us. So do I want to take a play at this? Not necessarily. Yes, we can ride out. We can base out. We can base out. Will this be the best play in the world? Not necessarily. I'm trying to see if I can make a ton of money off Tesla. And if I'm trying to see if I can make a ton of money off Tesla by taking a 2-week out call or something like that, you know, keep it short so I make good money. Well, what would I want to do? I would want the stock behavior to be a little bit different here. I wouldn't necessarily want to just see a 2-hour curling up. What would I want to see? I'd want to see some kind of divergence on the 30-minute. So here is what I think would be very, very cool. All right. So I think it would be very, very cool if Tesla dipped all the way down like this, right? Dipped all the way down like this and then curled back up. This would be fantastic because then I have a possible 7-point move, 10-point move up that Tesla could make. And if I want, I could take half out at this one, break even, so I don't have anything risked in my own pocket, and I can play with house money, and then boom, if that thing skyrockets, okay, cool, I just made really, really good money off Tesla. I would look for that to set up. That's more something that I would pay attention to. Now, if this 30-minute just kind of bases out, remains by that center line and crosses up, I can take a small play, but I'd really like it to beat down and get like this, cross up, boom, then that thing takes off. That's what I would be saying. DJT, let's look at this. All right, this is probably going to fade right here. DJI, sorry, Dow Jones. Dow Jones looks like it's going to start to try to fade right here. If we can really reject here, I'm really convinced this is a top area for the Dow. But you'd have to say, do we have all those reversal signals? And you guys, I just want to tell you the reason that, like, if you guys want to know the reason why I was a little bit ham on my video yesterday, and I was like, stop thinking CPI is going to be the exact thing that's going to crash the market. You need to pay attention to why markets actually crash. Unemployment, bank failures, M2 money supply, things like that are very better. They're better to pay attention to. Not very better. They are much better to pay attention to. Now, you have to pay attention to the little pieces of data because those can affect that. But overall, those are the reasons that markets crash. The reason I was saying that is because I was seeing so many YouTubers just put CPI will crash the stock market. And I was just like, you got to get that mindset out of your head, right? Of CPI will crash. CPI is going to do what CPI is going to do, and the price action is going to do what price action is going to do after that CPI comes out, and you just need to react. The things you need to pay attention to are the things that actually crash markets, unemployment and all that good stuff. But it's just very upsetting because we're in a squeeze environment still. That's why I kept pointing out we're in positive trends on the higher time frames. Now, this can be the moment. I'm not saying it can't be. I'm just saying most likely it's not going to, because we've seen terrible CPI readings, and what happened? We did not get the crash, right? That correction was just a correction. We know that because we're at all-time highs a year after we bottom, we're at all-time highs. So I don't think CPI is going to do anything, but I don't want you to get caught up in watching YouTubers who really try to make a good argument and tell you there's a flag, there's a bear flag here or something like that. This is not a bear flag anymore, guys. This is not a bear flag. I want to be very, very clear, even on the 2-hour. This is not a bear flag. Do not tell yourself this is a bear flag. That is a V-shaped recovery. That is a short squeeze giving you a V-shaped recovery. This is not a bear flag, okay? Anyone who's telling you that this is a bear flag is wrong. Your bear flag was over here, and we violated that. Right? Your bear flag maybe was right there. And what did we do? We broke through it. We used it as support, and then we headed higher. Okay, we had this drawn up. You guys wonder why this just magically got deleted off my chart? Because we short squeeze. Remember, I was like, this is where that resistance comes in. If it does not, then we are going to get that short squeeze even further. We're not going to get any pullback before that happens. Boom, we get the short squeeze. So I take that off my chart. I don't even have to tell you guys because this isn't a bear flag anymore. And I don't want you guys, being convinced by YouTubers and other people like, hey, yeah, there's a bear flag here. Or there's a double top here or something like that. It's like, there is. Oh, double top. That means we're going to crash. No, that means we're probably going to go down 3 points. I just really don't like the fact that people convince people every single week that the crash is there, when what we do is we say, yeah, you can pay attention to these points, but overall you have to pay attention to what the stock market behavior is, what that price action is. I think that's a much better thing. And the point of this channel is to be as helpful as possible to you guys and help you guys learn a little bit more, and maybe give some second opinions, right? If you have an opinion on something and you want to ask, that's perfectly fine. That's kind of what it's for, right? Getting a second opinion is overall what is a great thing about YouTubers. You can see if you're kind of thinking correctly, or see if someone who trades in your style is thinking the same way. That's very, very good. But to say, oh, this tiny little double top is going to be the top, it's like, if that is the top, it's not because this is a double top. It's not because of this. It's not because of this right here. It's because something bad happened. A bank failed. That's why. And this rolled over into negative territory. That is why you would crash, right? Technical side, you would crash because you are going into a negative trend. The fundamental side is banks are failing. That's overall the things that are important here, not CPI gave us a pullback and then you're thinking this is the crash, when all that happened was the 2 hour went down to the center line and crossed back up. If that doesn't happen, we'll change our tone. We say that multiple times. It makes me sick when you get all these people telling you to buy because you can 500x your money and things like that. Gain the skill, make money the slow way. The slow way is the fast way in the stock market. Most YouTubers do not think banks will fail. I don't know. Which YouTubers do not think banks will fail? Yeah, bank failures. Well, the thing is, Richard talks about bank failures a lot. There are a few people in here that mention bank failures almost daily, and they're like, yeah, we got to pay attention to that. But kind of report Uncle Bob. There's Uncle Kendall. Or publishing bank failures. Recently, the data has caused an inverse effect. This is just training retail investors for the time where the negative data creates a strong negative response. We are being conditioned currently. Yes, that's the point. That's why I really wanted to show you. And I said this in the video yesterday, they want you to think unemployment going up is a good thing. What did history tell us from the YouTube video I put out yesterday? Once unemployment really scales up, that is a very bad thing. But right now, what are we in? We're in the time where unemployment has ticked up and the market has gone higher. Okay, that's what we pointed out. Now, every single time the market has had higher after unemployment ticks up and then unemployment scales up above like 4.2%, the market crashes. So big banks are buying the small banks. You are 100% correct, and they're keeping things very hush-hush. Remember, right here, isn't it funny? Right here, a bank failed. We went up. And then, yeah, we pulled down with, like, what, earnings or something? And then, boom, we head back up. Or no. This might have been some Israel conflict still. So we didn't even crash because of a bank failing. Well, it's like bank failures are just like, it's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday or something. It's fine. A bank failed. And then eventually 10 of them are going to fail on the same day, and you're going to be like, oh, crap. Well, that's the scary part about the environment we're in, and the politicians and the people in power that we have right now. Even someone like Bill Gates. I'm going to talk about Bill Gates for a second. While this 2 hour tries to pull back right here, let's look at a 30-minute actually. Let's get a little deeper. Bill Gates right now. I'm going to tell you what Bill Gates thinks, and this is really. And I have a, Bill Gates right now. What does he think? He thinks that the average human being is dumb as. And yes, I bleeped myself. He thinks that the average human being is dumb. So what does he think? He thinks that the people who think like him and that are smart should just tell you what to do and own your life, right? That's why you're seeing all the narratives of, hey, you'll own nothing and be happy, because then you'll have nothing to worry about. You can sit in your home, put on your little Google headset. You can watch all the porn you want. I know we're not supposed to say that word on here, but really think about it. He thinks that he is smarter than all of you guys. He does not respect you in any way. So That tells me he's a superpower guy who's buying up all the farmland, by the way. Why is he buying up all the farmland? So that he can control food. That's most likely what is happening here. I don't think it's because he sees major value in food. Obviously, the value in food could go up if we go through some turmoil here, but he thinks he is smarter than you. He's probably with a group of, I don't know, I want to say maybe 1,000 other people who think they are smarter than you and they're pulling all the strings. And then he is going to try to own your life. I genuinely think that. Yeah, you can put everything in LLCs. I mean, I do that. I have an LLC. I'm being genuine here. That is what is going on. That is why the government spends your money like it's nothing. They do not care about you. Like, if you really want to make change, what should happen is the government should go back to what it was actually meant to be. We should pay for protection. We should pay for infrastructure. And the scariest part is, I did a project. You guys want to hear about my project, what I do for fun? Because I like to, Joaquin. It's my channel. That's why. That's why. Why do you always rant? All right, so you're one of the people that'll be controlled by someone who thinks he's smarter than you, and you'll probably be happy about it because he gives you, $5,000 a month. I'm dead. Like, you're one of those. If you're not worried about this stuff at all, then you're one of the people who he will control, and I'll be one of the people he doesn't, and we'll see who's better off. Yeah, okay. Money going to Ukraine. Money going to Ukraine is the best money ever spent. Holy shit, that cracked me the fuck up. Oh my god, that's so funny. All right. So the money that went to the Ukraine, if you want to talk about the money that went to the Ukraine, where's 80% of it? You know that they it's something around like 65 to 80% is just gone. Okay, thank you though. No, you made me laugh. I'm not like hating on you. I'm glad you made me laugh. That was actually really fun. Joaquin, I hope you're laughing too. I'm not, or I hope that's how you say your name, by the way. I'm saying your name like completely wrong, by the way. But no, thank you. That was actually hilarious. But it's something like 80% of the money that went to Ukraine. First of all, part of it went to like transgender studies, and then part of it they just lost. Like, we don't know. Okay, good, man. Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I'm sorry I rant, but it's just my thing, man. I here's the thing, like, I don't get an outlet for this stuff. You guys, like, you see me look at charts and you think like I'm a guy that does not get frustrated in any way with chart behavior or anything like that. I get frustrated more so with like things that affect individual people. Like I am, my wife can attest, I'm pretty much an empath. If someone gets sad next to me, I'm immediately sad. That's why when I make a good trade, I have this weird feeling of like, yes, but I also know that someone else on the opposite side of that trade lost money, and I just hope it's like a hedge fund or something. Use this as your dumpster. We can handle it. Yeah, isn't that scary, though? That's scary that we keep giving tax dollars to a government that loses a huge, huge percentage of it when they give money overseas. You guys want to know this Israel-Hamas conflict? Do you know who gave Hamas the materials to make their weaponry, to make bombs, to make all that kind of stuff? It was us. We gave them pipes for water and things like that, and they turned it into bombs and things to attack people with. That's very, very bad. Hakeem? I thought it was Joaquin. My bad. I'm sorry I've said your name wrong this whole time. But is inflation really bad on your end? There is Texas YouTuber keeps saying inflation is not that bad. Yeah, that's called probably a person who is making a lot of money in the stock market. Here's how you know inflation's bad. Anyone in the chat who owns a home? Does anyone own a home right now? And people are saying this too. A lot of people like that will say, yeah, does he say this? Some of the groceries are up. But other than that, we're seeing it deflate all around. Gas prices are still low. Relatively, gas prices are low. Yes. When did you buy the home? Tell me when you bought the home. What year? Not like exact dates, and don't tell us where you live, please. Like, Oh, well, I don't want to be like, hey, here's my address. That's all I'm saying. 2019. All right, perfect. 2017. Perfect. 2021. Perfect. Depending 2021. 2015, 2018. Does anyone see 2023? Ooh, 2023. We got one of them. We got one of them. So here's what I would say. When in 2023, man. Notice that we do not see a lot of people who bought a home in the last 4 years in the chat. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how I asked that question? And like, but it was due to a new job in March of 2023. Let's see, March of 2023. Sorry, I am not doing this right. Sometimes I'm bad with this. Okay, not bad. Not bad. See, not bad. But in the last 4 years, really, isn't it funny how I can ask that question in the chat? One person says 2023. So, do you think that the inflation of homes affects people? Now, look at the rent rates. Rent rates are crazy high. So, this person who's telling you inflation isn't that bad, okay, gas equates maybe, for me, $200 a month. Like, maybe $250 on the high end, right? $200 a month. Groceries, a lot more. My living expense, my ability to have a roof over my head is a big expense right now. That's why I'm taking this deal. I just hopped right onto it. I literally saw it over the weekend and jumped on it. I think it was on Friday. So, yes, inflation is in the system in the places that hurt the middle class and the lower class the most. So your boy who is saying inflation is not that bad, maybe he's talking about that in market perspective according to CPI. You know, you got to make sure he's talking about it in the right context. But overall, you would say if he's not talking about for a market context, like CPI is going to be lower, okay. But to say that in the economy and the market are completely different things, by the way. They're just completely different things. Yeah, so the places where people who actually use a big portion of their paycheck to buy food and people who use a big portion of their paycheck to buy their living, things to sustain their life. Look at energy bills right now. Look at electricity. Yeah, look at this. You guys want to see something fun? You don't think this affects people? Wow, interesting. Yeah, nothing to worry about here. Actually, you guys know this is one of the worst signals in all of like trading. When XLU starts to take over. When utilities start to gain a big amount of ground. I'm going to tell you this. This is something cool you can pay attention to. If this crosses over on the daily MACD, we're probably going to get a stock market crash. Isn't that crazy? Like if you just paid attention to this, back at key times, like where the stock market and this had the difference, right? And this really takes over. Look how that's taking over. Once this crosses down, usually you get a stock market crash after a big move like this. Yeah, I own mine. Nice, Renee. Congratulations. That's awesome. Apple's green. We'll get back to charts now. We don't need to talk about it too much, but overall, you're going to see a lot of 2019, anything from like 2019, 2017, even 2021 at times, but you're not going to see a lot of 2023, 2024, 2022. You're not going to see a lot of it because the price of the home went up. I think there's a really cool video you can watch. It's a TED Talk guy. His solution to a lot of the problems, he brings up great issues and he talks about them very well. It's just I don't agree with his solution. His solution is this is what's funny to me about people in the political space. And we're going to go through stocks in a moment and we'll stop talking about random stuff. I'm so sorry, guys. I really want to talk about charts, but the last thing I'll say is there's this guy. He made a very cool video telling you about the inflation of schools and why that's a problem and how that affects. And pretty much the overall argument was like, do we even love our children? Like, because everything we do screws over children with Social Security, with the housing prices, with all these things that rich people and old people benefit from. And it's a very, very good argument. And it was very, very cool to see. But his solution
was the government caused all of these problems. All the things he was talking about were government problems that they caused and people voted for, but they allowed to happen. And his solution was more government, change the government. And I was just like, you want to fix education? You make it a free market education system where people can choose what school they go to and choose what school they want their kid to learn from. We probably shouldn't be learning calculus at sophomore year to create programmers who are workhorses for the government who pay taxes. We probably should be teaching people how to do their taxes, probably teaching people how to understand interest rates. You have kids right now who can understand calculus, but they have no idea what their credit card interest rate is. All right, let's get back to stocks real quick. What are we seeing here? 2 hour going to be able to curl up here most likely from now. We can see that resistance come in right away. Remember, this is where we would complete a cup. We could get some kind of handle. Just got back from work. How was people? What up, Canada kid? Yeah, if you really want kids to be better off, you probably should teach them how we used to do things back in the day. Did you know my dad learned how to build tables in high school? Did you know my dad learned how to change oil in high school? Like their home ec classes were actually very, very informative and taught you how to cook with small amounts of food. I thought that was very cool. Now we don't. What crosses what? So XLU. So XLU, by the way, utilities. So when these really start to take over in history, you'll see these like massive pops. Like if you go look at, oh, this is a 2 hour. I was like, why does this look so bad? So if you go look at times where we crashed, let's go to like 2020. Let's go to like 2020 or something. God dang it. Right? Can I not draw for once? So let's look at 2020. What happened with XLU? Look at this. Now, does this look weird compared to what we're seeing right now? Look what took over. XLU. Do you know what happened when this thing crossed? The market topped and we crashed like immediately after. If you go back and look at all the crashes, you're going to see XLU has a huge run up, crosses down on this MACD. Right after that, boom, everything goes to shit. Something very cool. Very simple. I'm not going to talk about it more than that. That's all it is. That's just what I noticed. I told you guys I'm a nerd. I research stocks all the time, even in my free time. I'll just turn on music and look through charts. Taught my daughter how to swap. Yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. If you really want a good school system, if you really want smart children who can really make the world a better place, in my opinion, a better place. I don't think social media made the world a better place. I actually think Mark Zuckerberg caused the most suicides in all of our history. I think he actually caused the most depression in children of anyone in history. And we should not have kids that have social media that are under the age of 18, is my opinion. And I have a daughter, and that's why I think like that. But I think they should be learning things that actually give back to society, like the fact that we don't teach kids how to fix things that could happen in their everyday life, fix the floors, tune up your house, how to pay an interest rate, all that. That would be way more useful to me than knowing cosine and shit, sine and cosine. Like, I haven't used that once because I'm not a programmer. Actually, I don't even know if programmers. I don't know what sine and cosine are used for. I'm being genuine right now, and I got like a 29 on my ACT for math, and no clue. And yeah, we don't take SAT here. We take ACTs. But I have no idea. All right, my guess is taking out the stops before dumping, and that can happen up in a sell zone. We're heading up towards that sell zone. I'm a programmer and I use Google to solve programming errors. Yeah, my brother used to do the same thing. My brother used to go to those, was it like GitLab and stuff like that? Whenever we had a problem with our app, we literally just searched on GitLab. If I wanted a certain button, he searched on GitLab and he found the button. Like, yeah, he programmed the super backend stuff, but like UI stuff, he literally just like copy and pasted other people's free work because he was like, it's going to take me too long. I'm not the best UI designer. So I was like, okay, cool. Pretty cool, though. I like GitLab. GitLab's cool. But all that is keeping you in front of your computer, which is one step away from you just sitting in your home with a VR set, in my opinion. That's why me and my wife, we agreed anytime we want to go to a concert, we will fully try to make it happen. That's why I took her to a concert last night. It was so much fun. And they shouted out Mothers, and it was a very like small venue, and it was Escape the Fade, and it was emo music that we used to listen to in high school. It was so much fun. Salutations. I have a lot of respect for the US and try to be optimistic. Hey, yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic in the fact that there are good people here, and I believe that there are still strong people here, and we can go from that. We can work with that, but we might have to go through some bad times soon in order to see us actually build back better, not Biden build back better. Anyway, and the funniest part is, politicians are presidents always over the age of like 70. That was not a thing. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like, they show you all the people who like started our country, and they'll show you them in old form when they actually like wrote down the country and stuff like that. I believe they were at an average age of like 42. Pretty cool. Apple, this is making an upward move. Let's start to talk about stocks. Okay, let's really talk about stocks. I'm sorry that I ranted. I know some people are bugged by that. I know we're trying to really understand this market. So let's really, really try to understand these stocks. Okay. Let's really understand them. Okay, so what is Apple doing right now? What do we want to pay attention to? Hourly. Hourly just crossed up. What does that mean? We have some upside. The problem here is, if you're part of Patreon, there's a problem in this area. So even if we see an upward move all the way up to here, I would watch out. I think we're going to get some kind of divergence that really rips this away. Now we can talk about a pullback that goes into some buying later on. If we can remain above this level, that would be very, very good. Like 180, that'd be very good. But as of right now, this is getting pretty excited early on in the week. If we end up out of here by today, just be a little bit cautious with that. PPI really can rip that away. And by the way, let's go look at what the estimation for PPI is while you guys are here with me. I think that would be a lot of fun. And the girls aren't here today. We don't have crying behind me. I know I love my baby girl, but sometimes, consumer inflation expectations come out in 1 minute. Good timing. PPI consensus on this 0.3 and 0.2. The previous was 0.2. So slightly expecting a tick up. Slightly expecting a tick up, but that's not going to be, unless that's like a 0.5 or something like that. I don't think it'll be too dramatic. But maybe because we've squeezed for so long, people just need a reason to sell. So waiting on that consumer inflation expectations to come out. Good timing, guys. Apple, this upward move. Really pay attention. I like the hourly divergences. Yes, I like a 2 hour more. So if I just get a little 2 hour divergence here, what can happen? We can roll around this daily MACD. But this week, we have to be careful with these rolling overs of the MACD. So this is kind of what I'm getting at with, even if we see CPI and PPI as bad, if that turns back around, we're going to see the craziness continue, okay? So just pay attention to that. We might not get that full top in May, but maybe that's telling us, hey, we're getting some kind of corrective move in May. Maybe we do break down to lower levels. We'll pay attention because we're outside of that monthly expected move. So Apple can end up a lot lower by the end of the month here. So what would I pay attention to for Apple? Well, this is where I really want to get my new office set up. My wife's going over there right now, and she's going over there. We're renting because we can save, like, we tried to buy a house, but it was just, the rate was so bad that it was like I was going to pay an extra, I think, like $700 a month before utilities and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, we can save $700 a month. Let's save $700 a month. So we're paying literally, like, I don't know how we found it. We're getting a nice location. It's a tri-level townhome, and it's going to be 1,400 square feet for, guess what, $1,100 a month. I'm like, this is a godsend. And of course, when I told my mom, she was like, I was praying all day yesterday. And I was like, God damn it. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for praying. Seriously, thank you so much, because we really needed it. My friend helped us out when we moved, so I'm really excited. And the reason I'm mentioning that is just because we're going to set up my office. Yes, my office has to be in a basement again, but I get my own office, and it's like soundproof, so I love it. And I'm going to make it really cool so you guys will have a fun environment, and maybe we can add some stuff to the stream. As of right now, what would I pay attention to for Apple? 2 hour divergence. I think that this is a very powerful thing, and that's why I was talking about my office. These are the setups that I really want to show you guys early on in the week, every single week on Patreon, and I'm going to start to do that. So please, 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 if you're thinking about joining the Patreon, I know a lot of you guys are already part of the Patreon, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I hope that the information I give there is helpful. I want to make it more helpful. I really, really do. And I think those videos are the best thing that I did. When we were putting out those videos, we found some great trade setups. So once I get that office set up, it'll probably take me another week. So maybe by the end of next week, by maybe not next week, but the next week, we will be giving those setups. And if we get some crazy stock market behavior, some kind of crazy top bear market, I'm telling you, that's my skill. Like when volatility's high, that's where my skill is like insane. So I'm really excited for it. Apple makes the upward move. This is a signal that I would pay attention to. Let's look over at Tesla. Tesla not able to confirm that move higher. It just looked like it needed to pull back a little bit. You don't have to be too worried about this. You just want to wait till this 30-minute goes positive. That 30-minute goes positive, that's when you know the big move's coming. What would I like to see as a trader? Well, I would like to see this happen. See some kind of divergence down here, or just a little one, just a little divergence, maybe just on the RSI. Even that could convince me that 2 hours is going to roll back up. That's what I'd be paying attention to for Tesla. But I'd also just say, 15 minutes probably positive, right? So if the 15 minutes able to curl up, the next upward move can come. We can test something like 180.92. Now, I don't want to hold all the way to this. You guys know me. When I make like 50%, 100%, or 200%, I'm out of that move. So if I make 50% or 100% right here, and I'm like, ooh, I still don't like the environment, I'm going to get out. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I'm trying to make money. How the 10% of people who are successful in this market make money. It's called the slow way. The slow way is how you make money in this market. Also, the consumer inflation expectations coming in at 3.3. 3.3, just so you're aware of that. Finally, the market is moving, I know, right? So let's just pay attention to this. It doesn't look like the best time to buy. It could be if that 2 hour rolls up, yes, but just know that weekly expected move might come into play. We have a lot of data, so be cautious. Now, one thing to mention about Amazon here is it's kind of doing exactly what we thought. Now, the only other thing that we thought could happen, well, this is a tiny right shoulder, so that means it had enough liquidity here to break down. I'm expecting some kind of retest of this level. Okay, I'm expecting some kind of retest of this level. Now, this is on a 15-minute. It is negative. You see some divergence down here on the MACD, not on the RSI. So if I get some kind of bounce here, I'm expecting it to be some kind of retest. I don't think that's happening. I think the 2 hours crossing, we're going to go down towards the center line, and then we have to make a decision. Okay, but that is a very, very good downward move. And so now this Amazon's the one that's kind of screaming like, hey, this could be a very major top. Okay, so we have to pay attention if this daily MACD rolls over. I don't think that will happen, but if it does and I'm wrong, I will be paying very close attention to this, because once that crosses over, boom, that crosses over, we retest up to the 5, and then boom, that might just be given away and we go negative. If this goes negative, this might be a major top for Amazon. I really want you to be aware of that, but also be aware we are still in positive context as of right now, in positive territory. So if that doesn't roll negative, well, this can get some kind of higher low. Okay. Hopefully, is this good? You guys having fun? Is this better? Yeah, you tell us to stop talking about stuff that's not related about stocks, and then you do the same. I do it. I'm sorry. I'm a talker. I have ADHD. If you didn't know, I have extreme ADHD. So I'm so sorry about that. NVIDIA, we want to pop over to that real quick. Now, this is still looking pretty flaggy to me. This is still looking pretty flaggy in here. Now, the 30 minutes starting to get a little wonky, right? 30 minutes starting to get a little wonky. They actually rejected the crossing. That's kind of a bullish sign. So what do we want to see here to head higher? I'd really like to see cup and handle with this type of behavior. I'd really like to see a cup and a small handle and see some kind of upward move, maybe towards that weekly expected move. That would be very, very cool. But I have to pay attention to a lot of things. I have to pay attention to the 2 hour. That's still crossed down. So I can't guarantee the big moves going up until that crosses back up into positive territory. So this is something to really pay attention to, flagging out, but fading the move as of right now. What could happen? Well, we could break through this trend, see something a little bit more dramatic, and then that turns back around. Remember, if this turns back around at any time, most likely the next big upward move is coming. Let's hope that that's not right before earnings. I'll be a little worried if NVIDIA's at like 1,000 before earnings. But NVIDIA here, just something to pay attention to, still in positive context on the 2 hour chart here. So this could just be some kind of pullback. Even if PPI is bad, no CPI comes out the next day. Let's look at what CPI numbers are saying. Oop, almost hit end stream. That would have been bad. PPI looks like it's supposed to tick up just a little bit. We have Fed Jerome Powell talking about banks. Hopefully he, most likely he doesn't change his tone. Most likely. So we still have to be on our toes with that. If he did change his tone, which is something we said 2 videos ago. On Saturday, we said you need either some kind of bank failure or at least the Fed to change their tone, and that can convince people to do some selling. But does a change of tone crash a market? Not necessarily. Now, if he did something, if he acted in a certain way, if he raised rates instead of cutting, then that would really crash the market. Or if he cut rates because a lot of banks fail, that would be something to pay attention to. But as of right now, that could just lead to a pullback. CPI, month over month, supposed to tick down a little bit. Year over year, supposed to tick down a little bit. So this could be good news for the market. I just really want you to pay attention to that because a lot of the YouTubers out there saying, CPI is going to crash the market. If this pulls back to the center line and crosses back up, what's going to happen? We're probably going to see another move up from here for NVIDIA. AMD, not able to go positive on this 2-hour just yet. Let's dig down into this a little bit. Let's go into a 30-minute and see what's going on. We're still right by that center line. Remember, this is some wonky behavior here, not the most clear. So am I trading AMD? No, I am not. I am not. I took a little play here, just a little one, to see this bounce, but I'm not playing this until I'm convinced that this thing can really go higher. We weren't able to go positive here. We're not able to go positive now. Maybe we need to dip down a little lower before that actually starts to head up. So that's what I'll pay attention to. Meta starting to get some sideways price action. So what can we see? It's finally starting to go negative, which kind of convinces me this is going to continue. Okay, the 2-hour gets close to that center line, then I'll be happy, but just 1 bar, I really need to see that get close to the center line. I really want some room on this MACD. I really want some room on this RSI to scoop back up. That would really help me out with a trade setup here. As of right now, that's pointing down, and I'm holding my shorts for Meta. Microsoft giving up this entire move, right? So the 2-hour able to cross over once again on this bar. We look like we need to get some kind of pullback. Even if that's for 1 day and we see a reaction the next day, I think that would be very, very powerful. So we'll pay attention to that going on into tomorrow. But Microsoft, it still looks decent, like it's trying to do some cup and handling, but you just need some room on this. Let's go into a 30-minute. Let's look at it real quick. Getting close to the center line, you have divergence. So it looks like that 2-hour is really going to experience some kind of weakness here. Not saying PPI has to be bad. We still have to react to the data, right? We have to react to the data. So if PPI comes out as good for the market, I will quickly sell my Meta shorts, okay? And my volatility play, I will sell it at that point. So at this point, what do we see for Google breaking down to lower levels? Is that by a weekly expected move? First thing I got to check. I got to see if that's by a weekly. It is not by a weekly expected move. Weirdly enough, we're testing Friday's daily expected move. I think. So that's funny. But we don't have a daily expected move for this. On the 30-minute, you're negative as of right now. So this is still getting close to that center line. This is where a bounce can happen. And what I would say from here is we're starting to see price try to coil up. Right? We're seeing price try to coil up a little bit. And we're maybe getting that breakdown. But as of right now, we're bouncing. So what can happen? Big move, medium move, small. Then we see a break. That's what we really want to pay attention to. Now, NVIDIA had that and faked everyone out. So maybe I just want to say, hey, I'm looking for the next positive move. Let's see if we break to the upside. Let's see if we get a clean break and close to the upside. That would be very good for Google. Netflix going forward. Remember, this is some wonky behavior up here. We're moving sideways. Very good sign for the bulls actually to move sideways here. What's the 30-minute doing? Well, we look like we can curl up by that center line. I'm really worried about the next Netflix earnings. I don't know when that is, but the next Netflix earnings, because of the things on Facebook I was looking at some posts for Kansans, and Kansas is saying, what's the thing that you're getting rid of first with all this inflation? A lot of them said streaming platforms. I read about 60 comments, and about 30 of them said, we're getting rid of all of our streaming platforms, including Netflix, and this is a big rapid move. So I'm kind of worried about Netflix for the next earnings, but this is what you want to see as a trader. We just need some good confirmation. I would say break above the 617.50 level, a close above that level. I'd be pretty happy here seeing this go like that. Okay, we move up from here. Maybe we go up towards something like 630, some kind of retest of where we broke through that trend. Now, as I'm going through, I'm going to touch on volatility and things like that as well. We're going to touch on volatility real quick. What's happening with volatility? Well, the 30-minute looks like it's about to subside. right? So if the 30-minute, we get some kind of little pop in the stock market, well, if that thing just stays positive, we have to say volatility is here to stay. But the real signal I like for volatility is the 2-hour going positive. And look at that, it's still negative at this point. So maybe this is some kind of selling and the PPI is good news and then CPI is bad news. But as of right now, it looks like we're going to see PPI as bad news and CPI might be good news is overall what I'm thinking. If I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine. I'm actually trading with the signals, but I can keep those scenarios in mind. Now, something we want to pay attention to is HYG fading this move. Are they agreeing with this move for the SPY, hitting higher levels? No, they are not. Even in this small move here, what are we seeing? Well, the SPY kind of had like a double top like this a little bit. All right, HYG doesn't, so it's not confirming this move. But just note, HYG most likely sits in this area before that data. And then if this 2-hour curls up, that can go positive. So just be careful, but this is going to react because of data. And that's kind of a 50-50 flip at this point, how the market reacts. Something to pay attention to, the dollar starting to bounce back up. I just wanted to point this out real quick. I like my 2-hour for the dollar here. And if you wanted to go into an hourly, that's kind of like a 15-minute for the for Dixie. And what are we seeing? You have some flatness and divergence on the RSI, but you got an upward divergence on the MACD. So that can go into a positive trend, okay? We can go into a positive trend. Let's look for that reaction. Let's see if we can react and get above that 105.65 and hold there. You see, we tried to hold it. You see the bars. We tried to hold it right there, and then we just drop it, and that's when the bullishness comes back in. So right now we're looking at this and saying, well, if I'm going to see some kind of crash, all I need to do is see this daily MACD turn up, and that goes the same for the volatility. TLT not buying into the move. The yields, these are obviously going to react tomorrow. I highly assume these will just go sideways. Something interesting about these yields was the 2-year. The 2-year seeing a big pop on Friday all of a sudden by 1.04%. So if that has some kind of big reaction up for a day or two, and then that goes and hits something like 5.116. Remember, that was a big level for these yields. That was kind of a target for me. We can see it come as resistance. We try to hold above it. We break down below it. We retest it, and then we keep breaking down over time. So I think this would be a very important level to pay attention to. Something also you can look at for the 10-year, by the way, is if this daily MACD turns up, this thing can go ballistic. It really can. If we see inflation really ramp up, we could see this happen. I'm not leaning towards that. I don't think we're in that kind of environment. Your other YouTuber that you were watching who said, yeah, we're not experiencing inflation, at least for the most part. He might have said like groceries are inflated, but oil's cheap and things like that, or gas isn't as bad and things like that. There is some truth to that from a market perspective, but he's not talking about the economy most likely, because we know that there's inflation in the economy with housing and renting and all that kind of stuff. But as of right now, what is he paying attention to? Probably market behavior. And most likely the CPI is going to say, you know, hey, this actually breaks down. So what I want to pay attention to for the 10-year with this data is the weekly able to fully break down through this area? That would be really telling. We can get very bullish when that initially happens. An inversion could happen if we start to break down and things like that. But we really want to pay attention to the next 6 to 18 months, because that is usually when you see a major breakdown, that's kind of worrisome. Actually, in 6 to 18 months, if we see an inversion, that's where we can actually be in a lot of trouble. 6 to 18 months is usually the range of time where we actually see the market top out when you do see these break back down. So we'll pay attention to all those things. Volatility as well on the weekly. If this can go back to positive, that's the moment. And you see we're getting really tight here. We're getting really, really tight here. So something bad most likely is going to happen before August. And we'll have to see if that's able to get some kind of pop, and maybe it drops off over time. We go even higher, and then that pops again after a president is chosen, right? Because it is an election year. Something you can pay attention to as well, the housing sector here. I like to pay attention to the housing sector. It's very, very cool. So if the housing sector rolls over, this can actually be a leading indicator of weakness. Maybe we do an ABC move down to this area down here, 630, 631. We get an ABC move down, and then we get some kind of little pop here, and then game over. So we're paying attention to all these signals, but overall, if we just trade like water, we're going to be just fine in a market like this. Something to pull up right now, IWM. Remember, this is one I was talking about this morning, giving you possibly a triple divergence here. So this is why I really want to make those videos again, and IWM is going to be included on those videos. Coming above that daily expected move, now we can see that breakdown. We'll have to see. We have some tapering here. We have some divergences here. Is this going to choose a direction? As of right now, you'd probably connect these points, right, and see if we're able to bust up or bust down. If you want to draw it, I draw it something like this. Maybe something like that. That looks pretty good. I don't really like that. I like this one more, I think. So these are the overall levels I would pay attention to as far as the trend goes right now. This is your kind of tapering move. Yeah. Hopefully all that was good. I know that we were talking about random stuff for a while. I do like to rant. I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys, for the most part, enjoy my little rants. But when my ADHD takes over and I can talk about something that I'm passionate about, it kind of just happens. And I'm sorry if that annoys you. I'll try to do it less if it really annoys everyone. But as of right now, what do we see? Divergence on the 30-minute for the SPY is still what we're paying attention to. Divergence at these levels, not a good sign. But that doesn't mean we can't get some kind of pop first and then see that breakdown. Maybe you go into a 5-minute or something like that and see a simple divergence at this level. You see the divergence right here, but we could pop up, get a little divergence right here, and then game over. So we'll see if we hit that daily expected move today. Yeah, you see the divergence on the Qs too for the 30-minute here. Very significant actually on the Qs. Tech's probably going to go through some weakness here, which makes sense with like inflation data. That the stocks that really suffer are inflation or inflation sensitive stocks like tech stocks. Richard Tomlin, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Everyone, welcome Richard in. Rant's fine with me. I'll try to keep it on topic more often. Can we check out Tesla again? Yeah, we can look at Tesla again. This is overall the thing that we're looking for as a trader. I don't think a breakout with how the weekly expected moves look this week would be a good thing. I would really like to see this beat down, maybe get a double bottom. I think a double bottom or even coming down to a lower level, getting even tighter in this wedge, and then, oh. Control Z if you didn't know. If you guys are ever accidentally move anything and you want to undo that, Control Z. So yeah, June, this is overall what I'm paying attention to for this. Maybe I want to even go a little deeper. Maybe I want to go into a 15-minute and see some kind of simple divergence down here. So this is positive as of right now. So if that curls back up, yeah, another move can come, and then maybe we get a retest or something like that. That's the most likely thing if we're positive from here. What could happen is we get some kind of big reaction up, we get outside that weekly expected move, we pull back down, get a retest, and then that starts to move higher. That's what I would say. Now that is not happening as of right now. So we have to pay attention to what actually happens in the price action, but it's good to keep that scenario in mind. Okay. What I would like to see as a trader is a double bottom. Why? Good divergence at this level. Then we get a spike up, where we get like a spike up. I think we'd need more time. I think we maybe do a little bit lower. Maybe we don't touch the bottom side here. We just do a little bit lower. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us today. Thank you so much for subscribing. Everyone, welcome Michael in as well. We got some new people in. Make sure that we're welcoming them, guys. Make sure that we're welcoming them. The reason that it's important for you guys to just say, hey, guys, thank you for joining, just like I am. Taking my 6 figures elsewhere. Good job, Joe Jags. Yeah, they're ripping away that GME stuff. The reason that I want you guys to say hi to them is because I want everyone to be comfortable talking in the chat, asking questions, and know that this is a good place to ask those questions. Any question, as long as you don't have some kind of like crazy douche vibe about you when you ask, like you just say, hey man, I know you don't cover it, but can you look at DJT? Can you look at this? Would you mind popping over to Tesla real quick, just like Jun did? Hey, can you check out Tesla, please? Yeah, of course. As long as you're polite in this community, we are also new here and willing to learn. So something Von Powell that I am trying to put forward, and maybe we can get a sentiment for this as we're watching Tesla possibly curl down on this 15-minute here, is I'm thinking about making a membership for YouTube that has a hour-long live session every Monday after close where we go over a certain topic for you to learn. I know that not everyone who's starting out wants to. Now, this, obviously, you're going to get way more info in the course, It's a lot harder for me to, I just think that would be a great thing. It's kind of like getting a course, but also you just pay a smaller amount and you get to learn something every single week. And we can talk about stock market behavior. We can talk about money supply. We can learn about a lot of different things. We can talk about MACD for a whole hour. I'm thinking about making a membership where that is actually a thing that we implement, making a membership on YouTube where a live video for those members who really need to learn. So tell me if you guys think that is a good idea for you people who are a little bit new to trading. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you, Jimmy, for saying that. Anthony, welcome. Hello, everyone. So Von Powell, just let me know. E-Trade's down. Yeah, I know. Everyone's saying E-Trade's down, and that is some sketchy stuff. Do I think lower on Tesla? Yeah, Sean, that's kind of what I'm reading towards. Very good idea. Okay. Now, just so you guys know, I don't know how much to price that right now. I have to see how much that is because technically the information I do give away, according to my trading history, I see it as very valuable. And maybe people who took the course can attest like the information given in the course is valuable. So I'm trying to figure out how to price that out correctly, but I don't want to make it like $100 a month, $50 a month or something like that. That would be kind of crazy, but I consider myself always a student. That's awesome. And a lot of you guys would enjoy that. And maybe with that subscription, we also can do a one of those the live stream at the close for members only. Trading like very cloudy water with a bit of sand in it lately. Hey, that's okay. Here's the thing, guys. One thing that's very good to understand as a trader is not to overtrade in an environment where you notice you're struggling. Wait till the environment changes. I'm not the best at trading in a short squeeze. I'm going to admit that. I'm not the best at trading in a short squeeze. I'm going to admit that right now. I can admit that because I take accountability and responsibility for my trades. So what would I do in a short squeeze? I would sit back and watch the craziness until things are a little bit clearer and more in my favor, right? DJT. Let's go look at DJT real quick. Now remember this one, double top, guys. This is a signal to pay attention to. This looks like double top on the 15-minute. What does it look like on the 30-minute? Well, we could have a 30-minute divergence here. I know it's small, but it's very, very significant. So what could happen from this level? We could react all the way down towards 44 from this level. Now, I'd really like to have weekly ranges for this and stuff before I take a trade so I know how much volatility is priced in. What could happen from this 30-minute? Well, the 2-hour can cross over. What's the thing about the 2-hour? It has divergence as well. A big move down is most likely coming for DJT. A big move down is most likely coming for DJT because the 2-hour and the 30-minute are at the same time, and the daily is looking like it could roll. Well, it's not really looking like it could roll over, so you want to take that a little bit cautious. Pay attention to how you can get screwed out of a trade. If we see a dramatic drop, just watch the 2-hour. If that curls up and goes positive, you don't necessarily want to take any more downside. When I see the daily and I'm seeing a signal that can roll over the daily, I really want to pay attention to a 2-hour because that's going to help out a lot. Ever since FOMC, I found it really difficult, and that's because they cause more confusion in the market. I would be interested, and it sounds like a good idea. Okay. Maybe someone could give, I'm trying to figure out how much to price that out, because I want it to be a price where it's available if I'm doing a live stream at the closings, or maybe just 2 of the live streams every single week is for members only. And that's kind of what I'm playing with. And then also you can show up every Monday after the close and we can talk about a certain topic. So I'm really thinking about how to do that. I want it to be available for everyone. I don't know if YouTube lets me do tiering like Patreon does. To support you and maybe see your way of thinking, not a newbie, but always learning. Marina, yeah, that's awesome. And that is very, very cool. You guys know I really love to see, especially last week, we were pumped because people were like, hey, I saw a big move up. I made plenty of money. I'm not going to get caught up in I'm going to get rich quick. I'm going to take my profit. And stocks maybe moved a little bit higher, but people did make money, and that's the important part. Or can you do a solid price and make it lifetime? Yes, you can tier on YouTube. Okay, so I'll see what's happening with that. Now, I don't want to do the solid price just because that would be a big lump amount of money. And that would mean someone who's starting out with $5,000 probably doesn't want to pay, $500 for the entire year. So yeah, it takes more of my time to do that kind of stuff because I'll be doing it once a week. but you get a video once a week where you're live with me. We talk about a certain subject, and then I pause and I say, okay, for the next 5 minutes, does anyone have any questions about what we just went over? Okay, then we answer those questions. I think if we take it slow like that, it can be really, really helpful talking about this MACD and things like that as well. Very, very good. And then we can talk about divergence. I know divergence can be confusing for people, but how to find it. We can talk about support levels and things like that. We can talk about how to make trends and things. Like right now, I should probably get rid of this. This makes no sense. We already broke out. We retested. We broke out. Okay, now we got this move. All right, what's going on here? Notice that I excluded the top here. These are the type of things we can talk about. Okay, now I want to get rid of that, and I want to say, okay, most likely I'm gonna exit out. I'm not gonna include this right here because that was kind of the parabolic move. So I just want to take this point right here and go like that. This is most likely the tapering that's going on. Can we take a look at Exxon? Yes. Exxon, here we go. So this is your kind of inflation play. As of right now, rejecting on the 2 hour. If that curls down, what can we pay attention to in the future? Well, we haven't really started to tape. This looked like flagging. So you see we go up, we hit my trend. Okay, now we can break down. This is where I would really pay attention here. This would be a great signal to pay attention to. Now, this would take a lot of time to complete, right? If we see this drop down and then pop back up, that might go into next week. So what I would encourage you to do is, hey, we can look into creating a range for this for next week. You know what I mean? So if you take the course, you can make a range for this. Maybe we could even do that. Show you guys like making ranges on Robinhood or something like that, or E-Trade. You can do it with pretty much any platform. I just showed it on Robinhood because I think most people who are just starting out, the easiest access is going to be Robinhood. So right now, what is this? Okay, boom, down like this. Okay, if I see a divergence here, that's when I'll be really interested in this play. Really interested in this play. Google seems to be trending upward. Actually, everything is really trending upward. So on the daily scale and the 2 hour scale, you got a lot of stuff in positive territory, right? So most stuff is still in that positive trend. And that's why I put out that video yesterday saying, hey, don't get caught up in someone saying CPI is the reason that we're going to crash into oblivion is what I said. Because yeah, we could pull back significantly from it. Do I think it crashes the stock market? Not necessarily. Let's take a peek at Google again and just show you guys how this is close to the center line. If we curl back up, obviously this is the level that's really important, right? So 164, why is that important? You have a gap. We can talk about gaps and things like that as well. And I'll kind of just like do that for those live videos. So thank you guys for telling me that's a decent idea. And we'll look into that in the future once I get my office set up. And thank you guys for just saying like, hey, I would be a part of it just to support you. I think that's fantastic. I would love to not do my my other job anymore. I would love it. Doing this startup thing is a little bit tiring. Trading and doing this and doing the startup thing is just being the marketing guy for a startup is kind of rough usually. Thank you, Spiky Likes. I really appreciate that. I won't make it crazy. I won't make it like $30 a month even or something like that. It will be a fair price for that. And we'll maybe tier that out for people who just want the live video if we can. Do that, the live video for the trading stock market analysis 2 times a week. We'll just do that for members. That way we can keep it very friendly in here, very open to the people who have been here from the beginning. And dad dancing part-time too. True. Dad's got to dance all the time. I literally, she'll be crying and I got to wiggle a little bit and then she'll finally start to smile again, right? As of right now, we just started to implement a little bit of formula so she could sleep better at night. It's a little thicker. Oof. Man, she is having a rough time with the number 2s. I'll put it that way. Now, what do we want to pay attention to with Google? Positive trend. Now, that is looking like a roll down is possible. So if we take out this level of like 164, let's look at the low of this bar. 164.50. If you close below 164.50, then it's starting to add up to maybe we go fill this gap and then we head up. So I just want to pay attention. Where is my weekly expected move for Google? And my weekly expected move is down a little bit lower than 165, or sorry, what was this? 164.50. It's a little bit lower than 164.50. So what could happen here? Well, what if this breaks down like this? People are convinced this has to crash, and then it just does this. that would be the Head and Shoulders to pay attention to. That was a terrible drawing. Terrible drawing. My wife's the artist. I should show you guys some of her art sometime. It's fantastic. She's sold some very cool art pieces before. She's very, very good. She actually did my tattoos, if you didn't know. And she just bought a tattoo gun, and I said, go to town. And I told her I want my right arm to be goofy, and I might make my left arm kind of like dark and cool, but I like my goofy side. So for now, all I'm getting is this right arm done. But okay, so if Google actually did bust down below this level, people would say, what? Oh, we took out the low, we're going to go fill this gap, and then we get CPI, and then boom, that thing turns back up. So that's something to pay attention to. But we are rolling negative. I understand paying attention to downside here. I just want you to know, and this too, I wouldn't necessarily take calls today. Why? I have a red impression on the histogram on the daily. You guys know one of my rules, which is something we can go over as well throughout an hour. Tell you guys kind of some of my rules in trading, which is one of them is right here. So I will not take any calls on Google because of what? That daily MACD just crossed over for the first time. When it crosses over for the first time, I do not take any kind of calls to the upside because I don't want that daily momentum to take over and see something dramatic and lose all of that money. So I will not be taking any kind of calls in this area. Now, if by tomorrow we're like this, the next day we're like this, and then we see some kind of pop, that's when I can get into this move on a 2-hour crossing up for Google. Vaughn, study time for me. Gotta go. Enjoy the live, everyone. Thank you for stopping by, Vaughn. Are you related to Jerome Powell? Because if so, tell him to tell us what he's going to say in his next speech. OpenAI event in 30 minutes. It's my impact Google short term. I'm going to pull that up, actually. Now, we're not going to watch it, but... Oh, it's an OpenAI launch. Ooh, that could get interesting. That could get very interesting. Ooh, that's cool. I'm down. Sounds like fun. Let me see. I'll look up how to watch it if you guys are interested in watching. It was only announced a few days ago. May 10th. Kicks off at 10. What is it? 1 p.m. Eastern time. Monday, May 13th. And then for those of you in Australia, that works out at 3 a.m. That's unfortunate. 3 a.m. on Tuesday. God, you guys in Australia, you guys got to stay up late. I feel bad for FX Evolution. That guy's got to stay up so late. I love FX Evolution. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Very, very knowledgeable guy. Very, very good information from that channel. Highly suggest if you're not watching him, his YouTube videos. Like I would say fundamental side and showing you M2 and any kind of signal like that. He's very good to pay attention to. Really, really like him, but I feel bad for him because he's sometimes he streams during market hours, and market hours for him is like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Like that's when he would stream or something, but he doesn't stream too often, I don't think. I think he does like 1 a week. I would too if I have to stay up that late, but very good information from him. So yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern time, which would be noon for me. Or no, it would be 11 for me. So yeah, about 25 minutes. And then where can you watch it then? We'll be streaming live on the OpenAI website and also on YouTube. So you can just watch it on YouTube if you'd like to watch that OpenAI thing. He's barely right on market moves. Yeah, that's why I said fundamental side is why I watch him. He's good at finding support levels and things like that, but was he overall the most like helpful to me when I first started watching him years ago? I wouldn't say so. He was helpful in teaching a lot about support and resistance, but he just trades differently. That's how you have to know. That's what you have to know. He probably trades differently than you, and that's why it's a little bit harder. And for me, he trades differently than me, so I can't really follow his trade info, but I do like when he talks about fundamentals. I think he's got a good head on him. Fardus, yeah, we can check on Amazon for you. Later, Vaughn. I am not, but I am to the other pal. Yeah, we'll look at Shopify right after Amazon, okay? Let's look at Amazon again. showing you guys if this crosses over on the daily, that is a very, very bad signal. Now, this still has to go negative. Gotta point that out. This still has to go negative for it to be very, very bad, right? So for now, it's like bad. If that confirms is bad. Okay, so this right now, bad. You have divergence, possible double top, bad. If this can cross over on this MACD, very bad. If this can go negative, very, very bad. Now, why is that very bad? Weekly. The weekly can start to really see some downward action here. That would be very, very bad. Okay, so that means a prolonged pullback, maybe going on to the 50 could happen. Okay, once we lose this 166, that double top there can take you down to the 50 or the 200. That's what I would say about Amazon. Now, Amazon, there's a lot to pay attention to with Amazon. You have 2 hour that rolled over. You have 30-minute divergence that showed you that signal, right? We've been talking about Amazon a lot, saying this one looks very weak at this point for some kind of bigger pullback. That's what I'm leaning towards. So pay attention if the 30-minute goes positive, but you see the divergence up here on the MACD, not necessarily the best on the RSI at the same time. That's kind of why I'm leaning towards a pullback on the 2 hour. So I'm still looking, 2 hour gets close to that center line. Maybe we react down to something like this level here that we broke out from and we consolidated, busted down, busted right back through. I think this level of 180 would be very good, but I can pay attention to my weekly ranges, right? If I come outside that weekly range tomorrow and I see some kind of turnaround back into that range, well then maybe there's a big upward move coming. That's what I'll be paying attention to, but I have to react to CPI or PPI after that, so kind of worrisome. I would say this, if you're looking at taking a play on this, the better place to take a play, for my strategy, Fardis, how I do things, this is not where I would enter the position. I would have probably entered the position either here, so right up here towards 189.50, or when this actually went negative, so right here. So this bar right here, this 187.71, notice that we broke down, we retested that level. So this is where you actually went negative, 187.71, right in this area right here. That's where you went negative, and then we bust down below that, we take out the low. Now you're making money in this move. You get I think like Amazon's really quick. So if you take like a 2 week out option, right, a little bit away from the money, maybe even just like you pick the weekly expected move. That's what I do a lot of the time. When I see something like this breaking down, I just look where the weekly expected move is and I just buy that option at that point to the downside. Right now, look where you are on the 30-minute. You're oversold. So this just tells me, if you're looking at this a little bit late, you kind of got to be like, okay, risk to reward from this area. Well, now you could curl up on this MACD. We could get some kind of bounce. So not the best time. What would I want to see? Maybe this to curl over again. Okay. So really at this point, you'd be paying attention to data tomorrow and things like that. You're in a support level now, right? On the 30-minute, you're at a support level. Is there support in that level again? Well, it matches with these levels in here with some liquidity. So I'm not convinced this is the best place to go short. This can continue down though. It can continue down because the 2 hour curling down to the center line. But no, the 30-minute's still close to that center line. So if that curls up, sees that big strength, well, what if the 2 hour just curls right back up? I think this will set up for us. Something like that will set up for us. And somewhere around the end of May, like May 25th, May 24th, or sorry, May 24th, May 28th, that's when I'd really be paying attention. But as of right now, you just need to be a little bit quicker with it and really believe in that 30-minute divergence at these levels, especially when you start to hit, monthlies and things like that. Let's see where Amazon's at. Let's see if this really was a good trade setup that I would take, because I didn't take it, so there must be a reason. Yeah, so the reason with this would be something pretty simple here. Not outside of a monthly expected move, and I don't like to do things on Friday usually. But if you saw on Friday, like we were outside that weekly expected move, right? So if you saw on Friday, like this was outside of its weekly expected move on a 30-minute, and you were like, okay, a pullback is very likely from here, which we've mentioned a few times. The tapering was coming in. Notice this is a rapid move up. These don't have as much steam in them. That is momentum kind of tapering off. And then you see that go negative. This is the best place to get that play going. And that's something we can talk about, when to actually take a play. And I think that would really help out. As of right now, I don't think this is the best area to go short. I think you're waiting for some kind of pop to retest something and then see that fade again. I think that would be the next point to possibly go short, play that downward expected move. Because it is pretty far down there. You still have like 5 points left or something like that, or 4 points left to hit that weekly expected move. You're oversold right now. So that means to me, well, most likely I'm going to see some kind of pop by end of day, see if that curls up. Now, at that point, I don't want to be taking too many shorts, right? Because this is positive territory. We can continue. We could see this happen. But as of right now, I would lean more towards this happening. I think that that would be a very, very good time to see another downward move. But you have to be cautious too. You have PPI. So you just got to be willing to be like, okay, if I see that pop, I see that cross down on the MACD. Okay, I take a position here. Where's my stop? Right there. It's literally like right there. I'm going to keep it really, really close because we have data first thing in the morning. We could see a gap down or a gap up. If we see a gap up, that's going to ruin that position. So not the best time to enter. Best time to enter was way back here. I think the reason I didn't take that was because I took meta. And I took meta on this bar right here. Has meta been going towards its weekly expected move? It is right now. So what do I want to pay attention to with meta? And I know I'm supposed to check on another stock. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me check on another stock before I talk about meta again. I hope that was helpful, Fardis. I'm sorry that it wasn't the right timing, but be patient. It'll line up for you. Shopify, that was it. I got you. Shopify, dramatic drop-off. Dramatic drop-off, okay? So this is an earnings thing. So what do we like to do with earnings? Well, we like to see that build up to the center line. Something you could do here is say, oh, a closing bar below the closing bars. All right, take that down. But you're just very, very oversold. So you have to be very cautious here because you can get some kind of pop. Now, this could act like meta and just pop, 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 keep going. Pop, 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 pop. I hate clowns, by the way, ever since I was a kid. But what's happening here? We're still in a negative trend. So what I would like to see is a little bit of strength from this to get to a higher level. And then I can see that curl back down into negative territory. That's the signal I'd really be waiting for here. Let this get up towards the center line for the RSI, right? Because right now you don't have much room on the RSI to the downside. If anything, you have some kind of like tapering and divergence forming down here. If I look at a 15-minute, you probably see some wonky divergences here, which means close to going into a positive trend. So I don't want to go short on this because if that just goes like that, well, this could start to build up over time. But if the 30-minute, right, the 15-minute goes positive, well, if the 30-minute's not able to do that, then another leg down could be coming. And that's what I really want to pay attention to for Shopify. But very difficult to trade something that just had earnings and we're going to get PPI and CPI. Sure, I'll wait. Thanks. Okay, Fardis. I thank you so much for being a part of the channel, being a part of the community. Unity Software, what are you looking at? Oh, biotech, actually, though. Something with biotech. I know this is a random biotech stock, but oh, shoot, what's the ticker for biotech? Oh, what's the ticker for biotech, guys? Like the overall sector. Shoot. Biotech was catching a bid, and I know some people asked about biotech. He's barely right on market moves. Yeah, he doesn't really give market moves. He does say one thing that I really agree with, though, DD, which is react. He really says react, and that is something that has really helped my trading. Very early on, I found FX Revolution, and the one major thing I took from him, well, two major things, was support and resistance and react. So I predict, but I don't trade based on my predictions. I trade based on what prediction is happening, what scenario is forming. I like to keep it in my brain, find the scenarios, and then react which one is happening. Basically, be respectful and kind. Yeah. in the chat, you got to be pretty respectful here, but. All right, Meta. So what do I want to look at for my shorts at this point? I want to see how I could get screwed out of this trade. If this 15-minute can go positive, that would be a very bad thing. But as the 2-hour looks like it needs a little bit more of a pullback here. I think there's a little bit more of a pullback that can come. That's where I'm kind of convinced, like, hey, yeah, pullback for PPI. Maybe we react down to 453, and then we see some kind of bounce. I think that looks like the most likely scenario. But just because the SPY still not getting a good pullback here. I think the SPY needs a good pullback. My meta position is such crap right now, actually, though. I don't know how it's so bad. Maybe it's like the premium hasn't increased or something. It's so bad right now. Like it's positive, but it's just not gaining a bunch of not gaining a bunch of money quicker. I like it to be pretty quick. Just because we've doodled around for a little bit. See, and Amazon does keep dropping here. It does keep dropping here, but you're also like on my other charts. I do have Bollinger Bands up right now. I'm just testing on my other charts, by the way, shorter time frame Bollinger Bands. By the way, and so far I haven't seen too much benefit to them, but there's a little bit. So I'm still playing around with it. The course is good. Took it a month ago, but I do have a question, but I don't know where to reach you at. Oh, yeah. If you go back in the course, you can email me or message me on Patreon, or you can just ask it here. It's perfectly fine, Drew. Drew, if you want to ask it here, because if you ask it here, we can see if there's a good sentiment for, I can always add to that course. Bought Tesla puts on the break of 171 on Friday, and I'm getting slapped. Oh no. I don't know. For now, you're in a negative trend. I don't know the position or anything like that. For now, you're in a 30-minute negative trend. You can see if that 15 minutes rolling over for you. If that 15-minute rolls over for you, that'd be a good sign. It's going to maybe test these lows or go make a new one. If that can go negative, that's what I would say. Really just spread this out. Look, I would say there's no really sturdy divergences because this is a 15-minute. I'd like to see a 30-minute. That's when I'd be like, okay, this is a sturdier base. You notice it's just on the RSI, or it's just on the MACD, not on the RSI at the same time. I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if you've seen earlier, have you heard that they took coffee out of the CPI report? They took coffee out too. So coffee was going insane. I'll pull it up on my other chart and see if it's useful to look at, but coffee is one of the things that, like, I think it's like you could have made so much money. Just the cash contract here. Yeah, so coffee, if you didn't know, if you want to take this from a value perspective, just think of the values here. Coffee bottomed at 95. It went all the way. It bottomed at 95. Well, I would say probably bottom in 2019, right? 2019, May 6th. If you held that sucker, you got it for $87. And then it topped up here towards $260 in 2022. So in 3 years, you saw almost a triple. You did see a triple. You saw a triple there in coffee. And now we're seeing that start to scale up dramatically. Now you're getting the weekly to crossover as of right now. This isn't the most important thing to pay attention to, but it's just something very, very cool. Now the fact that they're taking coffee out, coffee is something that I need. Do you guys need coffee? It's pretty much a necessity for me right now with the baby girl. Oh, I'm on Amazon. I was like, why is this looking so funky? We're about to test the Amazon's weekly 5. Meta, you've been beat down on this 30 minutes. So if the meta turns up on this 30-minute MACD, I am out of that move. Exactly. That's why I think the market's going to go up. The CPI report really up. Yeah, and I think that's very, very possible here. Especially if we get a beatdown before, I'm pretty convinced that we're going to see some good news. Just because I'm convinced there's good news doesn't mean I'm taking a trade, guys. It means I'm waiting. I am in a meta short and I still have that volatility play from last week. So I have about only $1,000 in volatility, and then I have a meta position as well. Nothing too big. I think both of them are about $1,000. Nothing crazy. Like I said, short squeezes are not my... I know the moves that happen in short squeezes, but I'm not the best at finding those positions correctly and a lot of the time I have to take profit at 50% or something like that, or I break even a lot of the time in a short squeeze, actually. So I'm good at the initial move in a short squeeze, but that continued move is where I struggle a little bit. So I break even, or I lose 10 to 20%, or I only make 50%. And that's why I take accountability for my trades. I know myself. You know, being honest with yourself is something very important. I'm not the best at trading in this environment. That's why I use smaller amounts, little $1,000 plays. But yeah, Drew, you can email me also at lucas.s.hanson, Hanson, @gmail.com if you want to ask that question about the course. So Grand Toro, right now, I am in a meta position, and that is playing out, but this bounce here, this like sideways action is kind of messing with me. I took it right here. I didn't reapply. I needed to reapply that position. I needed to scale in at this point right here. That's where I made the mistake. See, these type of moves are where I'm good at it, so I'm kind of mad at myself. I'm kind of kicking myself because this is where I would scale in again on a 15-minute, but god dang it. I messed up, you know, and sometimes you just got to take it on the chin and keep going. Wait for the next trade. As of right now, I still think we have more pullback in this move. If I'm proven wrong, that's fine. 30-minute crosses up. I'm not taking any more downside. That's perfectly fine with me. Oh, big stretch. That's what I say to my baby girl. Big stretch. What if we pop and then NVIDIA earnings tanks it? Starting to feel that. So something with NVIDIA that I've been saying, if you guys have heard my little undertones, which by the way, NVIDIA catching a bid here, crossing up pretty firm on this hourly. As of right now, you got 36 minutes left in that. We've seen a lot of fake outs from NVIDIA lately, so I would really want some good confirmation. I'd really want this to start to test this high, get a breakout, then I can take that breakout and see that ride back up to that weekly expected move. I'm not playing NVIDIA. There's just stuff that's a lot cheaper than trying to play NVIDIA. So many people trading it. They just make things so expensive. Now, what would I say for NVIDIA? If it moves towards like above 1,000 before its earnings, that earnings, even if it's good, it might already be priced in. Seeing bullish divergence on 3 time frames and made 2,700 today at its peak. Those divergences are damn good. And yeah, I will email you. Okay, awesome. Congratulations, Drew. Well done. Well done. Nice job. You did it more correctly than I did, right? You did better than I did because my meta position, I didn't do that correctly. But Tesla, great stuff there. Very, very good. If this 2-hour can curl up, you got positivity there, but taking profit, that's how you make money in this market, right? That's how you make money in any market. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make money in any kind of market. I know where my weaknesses are, so I sometimes just sit back and be patient, just use smaller amounts. Low volume on the indices. We've had a low volume move this whole, since pretty much all throughout the short squeeze, we've had pretty low volume. That's because the sellers aren't showing up. Bragging about hitting shorts last week. The market is going to try and take that back. They very well could. It very well could. So what I want to pay attention to is just that PPI number. That's expected to be the bad print. Technically, from the consensus, it's expected to be PPI is going to be a little bit worse, but CPI is going to be a little bit better. So that's kind of what my thinking was beforehand, before I even looked at the data. And so, therefore, I'm going with that play. But what could happen today is, what if they bounce it until the end of the day, and then they convince a lot of people like, hey, yeah, oh, this looks... everything looks fine, everything's peachy, and then boom, it rips away with PPI. That would be some sketchy behavior. So it's like even meta here on like a 15-minute, right? This thing is down into negative territory, so I'm not that worried about a bounce. But what if they just did this? This might convince people like, hey, yeah, this is going to go up tomorrow, and then we get a bad print, and that just goes like that. Well, not like that. It would probably go like this, right? We'd go down to like 450, maybe 450, 308. That's really where I want to get to. Yeah, we can check Celsius. Ooh, this does not look pretty for Celsius on a 15-minute. That looks like a double top to me. If that can confirm, that's a double top. If this can start to build back up right now, you got maybe cup and handle going on. You got to pay attention to two things at once. 30-minute. Ooh, that does not look good for Celsius here. That looks like the 30-minute, very significant divergence. So now, just because that doesn't look good for upside doesn't mean this has to go down. We need that to confirm. We need it to take out the lows. We need that to go negative to really see some negative price action. I think this is going to lead towards a pullback like I'm thinking with the entire market, because the 2-hour just been scaling up for some. Actually, 2-hour has divergence here on the RSI as well. This could be pretty dramatic. You could see Celsius drop down to this trend. So you could get a 10-point move from this drop in Celsius for the next like week or so. That's what I'd say about Celsius. I mean, I totally understand. What do you want to do? If you want to front run this, what do you want to do? Stop. You need to get a stop in here. Okay, but your reward is a lot of downside. You're pretty much like, hey, okay, I need to be just paying attention to any kind of upside right here. So if that 15-minute confirms, how could you get screwed? Well, if this confirms down, doesn't go negative and rolls back up, I would say, hey, no reason to take shorts anymore until the next move down. Celsius has the Bart Simpson. Yeah. Hopefully that was helpful, Illy. All right, let's go check on the SPY for a brief moment here. Look at that 15-minute divergence popping up, giving you a double top pretty much. Now, this is going to go with the closing bar. So divergences like this are a little bit because this is at the closing bar. You'd like to see a green bar up here and then a red bar to take that down, but this is resistance at this level. I think I would read into this and say that's divergence at this point. And we can start to head a little bit lower because pretty much you have the divergence already. You have a big divergence over here. And then this was your double top. So if you wanted to read into this and say this isn't divergence, well, what are you getting? You're getting rejection, and that can roll negative here. So we want to pay attention, but just don't think that this has to break down. We still have to react to the data. I just think that it would make a lot more sense if we saw this kind of ripped away, and then we see that build back up, and then at towards right after NVIDIA earnings, maybe that's ripped away. So what do I want to? Maybe I want to look at some data. Maybe I want to pay attention to what data comes out with NVIDIA earnings, because I know some important data comes out May 22nd. What do we get? FOMC minutes. What do we get the next day? Well, after hours, we're going to get NVIDIA earnings on May 22nd. So what do we get the next day? Initial jobless claims. And then what do we get on Friday? Durable goods. Okay. So now something to really pay attention to, May 30th is going to be the GDP growth rate. That's supposed to come down from 3.4 to 1.6 is what I see here. Yeah. 3.4 to 1.6. Am I seeing that correctly? Yeah. Excuse me. Oh gosh, yeah. This one's pissing everyone off because no one can sell their stuff, and it's probably dropped. Yeah. No one can sell their stuff. They're like, wow, I could have made a ton of money and now it's dropping off. What I would pay attention to here, this is a positive trend, and if it's going to keep squeezing, watch out. We have news tomorrow. This can come fill this gap, and it's just game over for GameStop. The game will be stopped if this really gives up. But what you want to pay attention to, well, the 15-minute curls up, positive territory. The next big positive move can come. Look at that. We're seeing some positivity right now. Maybe that trading is able to open back up. If that trading is able to open back up, maybe the craziness continues, and then that's ripped away with PPI tomorrow, and then we see another crossing up. I would say if I want to take a play on this and try to make a hero play or something, I would still wait for my technicals. I'm still going to trust my technicals here, wait for the momentum to beat down, some people to sell, and then see that go back up, and maybe I catch some kind of 10-point move or something like that. Can Tesla go below 172? Pretty much, if you're gonna just so you know this, Jun, if you're asking if something can do something, the likelihood is yes. There's always a scenario where something can happen, right? Like, could Tesla completely fail as a company later today and go to $0? Yes. What's the chances of that happening? Probably 1 in 100 million, but it can happen. That's why you just want to focus on the signals. Right now, what am I seeing? 15-minute hasn't gotten the full pullback yet. I think there's more pullback in this move. So below 172, I think is very possible, but I could be proven wrong. That hasn't even crossed over yet. I think it will. I think we'll get down into this area, we'll make some kind of double bottom or some kind of divergence, and then that will be the move to really pay attention to. But just because I think that's going to happen doesn't mean it's going to. So at this point, do I have a reason to really take a short in this area? According to my trading strategy, no, not necessarily. Now, if you wanted to say a 30-minute, maybe you have a little bit more argument. If you want to take that 15-minute play and say that's going to cross, I keep that stop up in this area. If that 30-minute crosses, then you're probably testing this low or making a new one. Does that make sense? I hope that was helpful. So the better way to phrase questions, and I know what you're asking, and I know you're pretty much saying, like, is it probable? It is probable. It actually is very probable that Tesla actually goes below 172, sometime this week. That's what I would say. But I want to make sure I'm getting some confirmations of those moves. So if you want to get in early, it's like, okay, is the 15-minute RSI crossing the center line? Because that's the leading indicator. And this might happen at the same time, actually. So I just don't have my 5 reasons, right? I don't have my 5 reasons to take a trade right here yet. So I like to have, especially in an environment where I know, hey, I'm not the best. I know where I'm the best, and I know where I'm good. In this environment, I'm good. In a volatile environment, I'm like the best. Like I can tell, like, I'm not getting cocky with it or anything like that. I'm just like, I've done really well in those type of markets. So if this crosses over, that's what I'd pay attention to. Let's do a full breakdown, and then I might have to hop off, okay? So what do we want to pay attention to for the SPY? I actually think you want to look at a 15-minute today. I know that's crazy. I don't look at a lot of 15 minutes the whole time. And we'll look at UNH actually, we'll do that first. Let's just look at this first. United Health Group, what's happening here? Well, it's pulling down. What'd you have? Well, you pretty much had like divergence all across all this. We probably don't want a 15-minute. We probably want a 30-minute. What does that look like? Well, I had a divergence up here on the MACD. Okay, not kind of flatness, little bit down. And then I have flatness of the RSI. So that tells me this is most likely going to be a pullback. What's this going to do? It's most likely going to roll over the 2-hour. Okay, so this 2-hour, what do we have to pay attention to? Well, this has divergence as well, but notice this, it's not on the RSI at the same time. So this would lead me to believe this is going to be a pullback to then head higher. So what could happen here if I had weekly ranges or something like that? I would say look for reactions off of your moving averages and things like that. But I would say a good dramatic pullback down to something like the 50 looks likely. And then we have to see if that's able to curl up. As of right now, you have to say if this curls over and goes negative, right? So what I'm saying is the 2-hour can curl down, curl back up, and maybe you see a triple divergence. That looks like the most likely thing for me right now. But if that goes fully negative, well then, what can happen? I can roll over a daily. And the thing about this daily here, what are we doing? We're testing the 200. We're right by the center line. So if that 2-hour goes negative, I would probably hold that sucker if I'm going short on it. Okay? That's what I'd say about UNH. Pay attention if that 2-hour is curling up at any time. But if it's able to roll over this daily MACD, it might be a bad sign, especially if that goes negative. If that can go negative here, you're probably cutting through this level. You're probably heading all the way down towards this gap fill. But that could take weeks, right? Because we could do this, and then, oh, look at that. It's all of a sudden it's June 20th. So I'd say if you catch this move down to this area, I would, that'd be a good move. I'd take profit. But all right, SPY, what did we do? Well, we're at top Bollinger. We're trying to ride that 5 all the way up. We're starting to struggle a little bit. The reason that we're open to a crash at this level is because the MACD is still close to that center line. And so what we're paying attention to is if we get that to cross over, well, then that's going to be bad news. And most likely, maybe we make a divergence or something. But that just means this negative trend right here can continue. Right now, it's in positive. So we have to talk a little bit positively. So if that pops up to this level, that's something I think could really happen in this market. We see some kind of daily divergence. And then people are convinced this market's going to go bullish forever. But we know things like XLU, we pointed that out earlier in the video. That was a very good thing to pay attention to at times because XLU has seen a big pop. So if that actually does drop off, well, the SPY follows really, really soon after. So we're seeing weakness in XLU right now. So you just have to pay attention. If this starts to cross down, I would be a little bit worried. SPY, right now, what do we see? Positive territory. Got to talk a little bit positively about it, but it's been going up for some time. So what do we want to do? Maybe let's dig into a 2-hour. What does it look like? Well, it looks like it needs to pull back a little better than this, but hey, if this wants to move sideways, Move sideways. PPI, good news. CPI, good news. Okay, if this wants to move sideways, PPI, great news. Then we start to get a little worried. This would be outside of there on a Tuesday, so be cautious with that. Know that crazy things happen outside of these ranges. So if CPI and PPI are good news, we could just see a crazy run up. Okay, if those sellers never step in, we could see a crazy run up. Right now, though, it looks like some weakness coming in. We need some kind of a little bit better pullback. You see that the 30-minute keeps getting closer and closer and closer to that center line down here on the MACD. That would really be the moment I say, okay, there is some kind of pullback here. There's a really good pullback coming, and maybe that goes down into this zone. 2 hour beats down, curls back up. Guess what? Maybe that happens very quickly. What if this happens very quickly? Well, then Wednesday CPI, what if we get that V shape? That's why we're paying attention to these signals. I'm still in positive territory for even the 30-minute right now. So all your signals are still positive, just to be very clear about that for the SPY. Qs, very similar story. You see we're trickling up and trickling up and trickling up. This is some steep divergence here for the Qs. I think the Qs are going to experience a pretty good drop from this area. So, well, you know, that's what the signals are telling me. So if this can go negative and we get bad PPI news, well, the momentum's dead. And those are the times where you can experience some significant drops. We could head 10 points lower. We could go like 2.5% lower. And that's crazy. I will take your course, man. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. I hope that was helpful, YS. Yeah, I think you'll find some good things as far as it seems like a few times I've noticed you messaging just a little bit late, like literally like sometimes like 2 hours late on the move or a day late on a move. And I think you would benefit a lot from that course. It'll teach you kind of how to use those divergences and those weekly ranges, or at least use those divergences to find those entry points on the shorter time frame. The 30-minute is what I like. So for the Qs here, we're seeing if this can go negative. If that goes negative, this wonky 2 hour can start to turn into a pullback. And that's really what we're thinking right now. It's still overbought at this point. And so we can head higher with PPI. I would just be worried because we could head up towards that monthly expected move for the Qs, but it has room to the upside as far as this week goes. So I'm paying attention. It looks like a more of a pullback to get close to the center line would be very, very useful here. I'll also look into your course. Thank you so much. The link's down in the description, guys. But thank you guys so much for thinking about taking it. Really think it would be beneficial for a lot of people for those entry points too. Apple, what are we paying attention to? Well, we're about to hit that sell zone again. So we're a little worried in this area. Okay, so what I want to pay attention to, maybe an hourly actually, see if that can roll back over for some kind of double top. If that goes a little bit higher, I would really like to see a brief 2 hour divergence and take me outside of a weekly expected move, right? I want it to pop and drop with some bad news, but if that bad news never shows up, if it kind of loses steam here, I would look at an hourly. I think that hourly divergence with the double top up here would be very, very good to pay attention to if we're going to see that bad news, right? We have to get that bad news. So what would I do from here? Well, if, like, you know, Apple does this move and I see a little bit of weakness, okay, and then PPI comes out and that's good news for the market, I need a stop in place, you know, just in case. I need a stop in place, and that's what I would say. But it really looks like a pullback here is the most likely scenario. Tesla, what are we paying attention to? 2 hour curling up positive territory, first of all. We are paying attention to that. But does this look like a good point to enter that? I would say not the best. I would really be paying attention to that 15-minute curling back up, right? We can go all the way into 15, and then we'll talk about the 30. As of right now, what do you see? Weakness. So you're asking, can this hit 172? Very probable that it does, right? Can it go below 172? We just said that like 30 minutes ago. Very probable it does. And what am I looking for here? Maybe a 15-minute double bottom, or we cut a little bit lower. Anything that gives me this little 30-minute divergence, that's really what I want to see from this area. Just boom, 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 and then boom. I can actually take a play with this. And you might see me taking a play on Tesla. Isn't that crazy? I haven't taken a play on Tesla in a little bit. But that's what I would pay attention to. If we're going to see positivity right away, just pay attention. 15-minute goes positive. We break through. We could see this type of deal happen where we get that big move up, get a retest, and then going into next week, we actually head higher. Amazon, remember, this one had that weakness, and this is why. Okay, so Jen, are you in here? Do you see what's happening right now? Look at that. That's why I was saying, like, this isn't the best place to take the position. Okay, this is where you can see bounces. You're in a slight support level. You beat up. You're kind of oversold at this point. Now you can get some kind of reaction up and then curl back down. So if this is going to curl down even further, well, what's going to happen from here? you notice I don't have divergence on the RSI, but I do on the MACD. So that means I could get some kind of pop here, but it might be brief, and then that rolls back down. So this could pop up to the center line or even go above it. But anytime that goes negative, you know, hey, we're probably going to test this low or go down and make a new one. Then I can pay attention to my weekly ranges and things like that. But the 2 hour for Amazon not looking the best. It even gave you just a brief divergence for the 2 hour, which worries me because that means we could roll over the daily. And the daily, that's ugly. If that goes negative, this is going to get ugly, okay? That's at least my opinion right now. Now, that could change, right? But if we see major weakness here, see a bounce, and then we cut through this level, that's going to be very, very bad for Amazon. Double top, you can head a lot lower. We can go test, you know, this trend line down here. We can go all the way down towards what, like 150? You know, maybe the 200. Okay, man. Yeah, I hope that was a good example because we saw it in real time, right, John? Very, very good. Nvidia here, what are we paying attention to? Well, it's trying to buy back up. So what can we pay attention to? The 2 hour curling up, first of all. That would be a very good confirmation. Am I taking anything on Nvidia? No, I don't believe the pricing of Nvidia is very good for me. So, but this is what you want to see. You want to see it beat down towards the center line, curl back up into positive territory. This is what we talk about, curling back up positive territory. And then maybe that's an opportunity for this thing to get way overbought, right? We see a big move. Weekly range, we want to pay attention to that for this week, right? Not really taking anything outside of that weekly range. But if we can pop up to that and then see that base out, what I would like to see from Nvidia, honestly, is you see the 30 minutes still close to that center line. I think you have a good opportunity for some kind of drop into this zone again. This zone's been very, very good to us. So what do we want to pay attention to? Well, if that drops off, what if that's just brief? What if we just get some kind of little divergence here, and then that 2 hour is able to curl up a little bit later? This is where it would be a good position, kind of like what we talked about with Amazon. What would the play be on Tesla? Tesla would just be if that 30 minutes full. You pull up the 30-minute MACD. If that can roll down and create any kind of double bottom divergence or a little bit lower divergence down there, and then we get good news with CPI. That's the important part with that. You got to get the good news with the CPI. And let's just in case, because we want to make sure we're not thinking of this incorrectly. Look at that. The daily's going to cross over if we get that weakness. So I might not take Tesla because it's going to violate one of my rules if that goes red tomorrow. It's going to go red tomorrow. Well, then that would be a red impression on the histogram on the MACD on a daily scale, and I don't mess around with that. I really don't. So if that gives me a red impression, this might not be the best trade for my trading strategies, right? My rules, because I've been screwed over by those things before. So that's why I have those little rules. But what's happening here? If I get this to curl down and we keep this support level, what could I see? I could see some kind of divergence. So if you want to take a risk with it, I get it. Squeeze. That's what we're doing right now. Well, not anymore. We were doing that last week. So Milky, hopefully that was like that's what I'd look for. But according to my rules, now that I've checked the daily, I wouldn't be taking that play to the upside just because that daily momentum is pointing down. It looks like a great trade. It really would. If I can get outside of a weekly range or something like that, it really would, but it violates one of my rules, so I have to trade a different stock. But if you want to take that risk, that's perfectly fine. If you see this type of behavior happen, all right, put a stop in place. That's all you got to do. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put a stop in place, but I don't like to violate my rules. Every single time I try to go against my rules, it always hurts me. We already did Amazon. We did NVIDIA. Let's do AMD real quick. This is still in negative territory, so you're seeing a struggle for AMD trying to hold up, but the 2 hour trying to cross up into positive territory, right? So this here is a little bit more difficult because you don't really have the structure. You don't really have that good structure like on NVIDIA to give you like a 30-minute divergence in this zone or something like that. It's very, very flat on the 30-minute. So that makes it a little difficult. Makes it a little difficult when you're flat like this because those divergences. Maybe I just want to pay attention to the RSI. Or if it does create it, I really need that to be pretty good on the RSI. And news the next day, risk to reward according to like tomorrow with news. AMD is just right in the center, so I'm not seeing anything that can really develop here too well. So what I would want is sometime in the next few days, see the 2 hour curl up, and then I know, okay, a big move can come for AMD. Why? Because we have daily divergence down at these levels, and you're seeing that go green. So the other thing to pay attention to if we see major weakness would be is this MACD fully curling over on the daily scale, because that is in negative territory right now. You see it down there. So I got to be cautious with these types of moves. It just doesn't look like the best setup in the world, but I can pay attention. If it starts to on the 2 hour get outside that weekly expected move and curl back up, that's when it will start to line up a little bit better for me. Meta, right? Not able to curl over on the daily scale, still negative, right? So we can still talk about this a little bit negatively. The 2 hour able to cross over. What's it doing? It's trying to fight down, I think, towards that center line. So I'm in this play, and I'm just paying attention to a 30-minute. If that curls up, I'm not taking any more downside. I'm going to say, all right, I just didn't play this the best. My strategy would have had me take a second position at this high on a 15-minute, but didn't necessarily go with it correctly. I didn't do this correctly. I did it like, when did I take this? Early on Friday, and then I think I streamed and I just like forgot about it. Of course, ADHD. Thank you very much. But 30-minute curls up. We can see another positive move here. Maybe we go towards the top side weekly expected move. So you want to look at that for the Patreon. But Squeeze, thank you for joining. What I want to pay attention to here, it's by the center line. If the 30-minute crosses up, I can get screwed out of my play. As of right now, it's still pointing down. It's in negative territory, and the 2 hour still has some room left on it. So I'm still fine here. I'm still fine. I just want to pay attention to when I need to get out, and if that 30-minute crosses up, I need to get out and take a small loss. That's what I would say for Meta. Amazon, this one here, trying to curl down on that 2 hour MACD, looking pretty wonky. No real pullback in this overall move. Little one here, that's the one we kind of talked about on the 30-minute, but what do I want to pay attention to? 30-minute, major divergences up in this level. So if we're going to make a tiny pop higher, that's fine. Does it create a triple divergence? That's what I'd really pay attention to for Microsoft. I'm still leaning towards a pullback for Microsoft. I think that would be a likely scenario at this point. But hey, maybe PPI comes out better than expected, and we have to pay attention to upside from this point. So we can see the craziness continue, even though it looks like Microsoft has a pullback in it. Am I taking a play here? It just doesn't look that great. All right, Meta, even though it doesn't look the best now, it still looks better than Microsoft to the downside. Now, this is testing higher levels. You could probably go into a 15-minute. You could probably see this create another point of divergence up in this level. This would be divergence, by the way. So this here would convince me, hey, that's the moment of the pullback. Okay, now I can enter that position. If that can cross over, then I can take it a little early. Why? I can take it a little early when it crosses over. Why? Because it is right by negative territory. So when it's right by negative territory, you can take it on the crossing almost every single time and be pretty confident with it to see some downside. But as of right now, still positive. So little divergence right here might be the hint. You already have one pretty much between this point right here. Google, let's look at Google. This thing's been beat up. That news seemed to cause some kind of bounce. 11 a.m. I thought there was some kind of news coming out, but some kind of bounce could be there. What I'm paying attention to, well, the 15-minute, sure, we have like flat divergence on the RSI, but not on the MACD at the same time. So this most likely is some kind of pop, and then we're going to get close to that center line on 15-minute and see that curl back down. What I would really think would be interesting for Google is I know where the weekly expected move is, somewhere in this area. So if they take out this level, everyone's convinced this is going down, maybe to fill this gap, and then it just turns right back around. So 2 hour crosses up, it's right by that center line. So you're looking like if there is a downward move, it might only last for a day where we're at right now. Went negative on the 5-minute for Tesla. There you go. So Tesla's still breaking down. Netflix, this one here, it's a very sideways move, right? So we were able to beat down a little bit on this 2 hour. I think there might be some more room to the downside left, but I want to pay attention to where that position should be taken, right? I want to pay attention to where that should be taken, because as of right now, I have a 30-minute curling up into positive territory. That's not good to take a short on, right? So I want to see if that gets some kind of pop. Then I can find a position maybe by end of day. That's what I'd be paying attention to for Netflix. But the sentiment of Netflix that I see from some people on social media, I'm not convinced that Netflix should be worth 613, and I think they're going to struggle at the next earnings. That doesn't matter if I think that is the way, right? I still want to wait for the setup to show itself. Give me some kind of pop here on the MACD that then rolls this back around. Then with that confirmation, I can say, hey, good shot, we're going negative here. So see if that makes a pop by end of day and gives you that divergence. That's what I would say for Netflix. That's why I really want to make those those weekly videos on Patreon. I'm so excited to get my office set up because I can actually make it like how I want to make it. It's going to make things so much better. And I think the streams will get better. I think everything will get better. So, and if you like the streams now, maybe you'll like them even more after that. So volatility, this is big. For some reason, I think Thinkorswim system is lagging. Google is showing me at 165. Hello, by chance, have you seen any interesting buying opportunity in your experience? I thought about buying QQQ to obtain long-term profits, but I don't know if it's the best time. The thing is, it's like this on the shorter, if you're talking about investing, Felipe, this on the shorter time frames, as far as trading goes, this is not the best time to buy. You just had a short squeeze, and we have a daily that is still right by the center line. The better time to go, at least think about investing would be, hey, does this cross up? Yes. Okay, I buy here. Now I can hold for a while, see if that remains positive. As of right now, you got to be scared of some weakness. What I would tell you, as of right now, if you're looking at this from an investment for the next, I don't know how long though, weeks or so, how long are you trying to invest? Like, are you trying to hold it for 20 years? Felipe, are you trying to hold it for 20 years or something? And then we'll go back over to volatility, but I just want to make sure Felipe's, I'm understanding what he is trying to do strategically. Oh, that was cold. That was not it, guys. That was not it. He's not going to answer yet. We'll wait till you answer. We're going to put a pin in it and come back to it. Volatility. The big thing here is the 2 hour needs to go positive. 30 minute needs to roll over. It could roll over and get some kind of pullback. But just note this, the RSI is starting to beat down a little bit as we're moving higher in this overall move. I think you got a good shot that we're going to see volatility back off by end of day, see some kind of pop in the market, and then see that ripped away tomorrow. That's just my opinion right now. But obviously, I'm waiting for these signals to prove themselves. There's 60,000 people already at Trump's rally tonight. He's going to address short sellers. DJT, go my 100 this week. Watch. They're teaching people at rallies how to buy DJT now. Yes. My signals say be very cautious with that. Okay. My signals say be very cautious with that type of thinking. Now, I understand. I get it. Sometimes we can see a move like GameStop. We can see a move like AMC. We can see moves that are just caused by a public figure. Trump's a big public figure. Okay. Previous president. Very, very good, right? So what am I seeing here? I'm seeing a double top. Okay. So my signals are telling me the opposite right now. So if you're going to take that play and it's going to hit 100, Martin, right? That would be a 45-point move, maybe in the next month. I would say do not use a ton of money behind that move because you'll make plenty of money if that happens, right? If you take it out for a month, you put $500 to $1,000 behind it. Okay, cool. You can make a lot of money. But I would just be very cautious and not use like my life savings or something. I don't want you doing that. I don't want you using even $5,000, even though you could get rich quick. It's like getting rich quick is fun and all, but does it happen very often? No. No, it does not. And the thing with anyone pumping a stock is what do they do once it hits that number or once it goes up? He could say, he could even say, yeah, DJT should be priced at 100. And then it gets to 80 and he takes profit because he needs money for his campaign or something. And I'm not saying he's that type of guy. I don't know. But I'm just saying that's what a lot of people do. I mean, I know for a fact, I know that Elon Musk did that with Dogecoin. He pumped Dogecoin because he needed to pay his loans for his China loans. He needed to pay on his premiums for his loans from China, and he pumped Dogecoin back in the day for that reason. And I was part of that move, so I'm not complaining about it, Martin. But I would just say my signals are telling me the complete opposite. Okay, my signals are telling me the complete opposite here. It's telling me double top. If this confirms, this hasn't confirmed yet, so really, yes, positive context still, right? But that's telling me some bad stuff. The 2 hour is telling me possible divergence forming here. And if that confirms, that's going to be bad. And then also I have a daily that's telling me, hey, yeah, I've been going up for quite some time. What do I have in this area? Well, we've been going up for quite some time. Maybe we need some kind of pullback, like a more meaningful pullback, maybe to go retest a 50 or the 20, and then we see that go up. You see how we're riding the 5 the whole time for a long time? You do want some kind of reaction to the 20. So I'm not saying it has to be ripped away, but I'm just telling you this is close to negative territory as well. So my signals are telling me the opposite. So I'm not going to take the play to the upside. I'm not going to take the play to the downside, though. I'm not. So I'm not saying it has to crash down. I'm 100% okay with if you want to make a play like that. It's your money. You do what you got to do. But I would just not throw my whole bank account at it. If you put $500 to $1,000 behind it and it reaches 100 in the next month, you're going to make plenty of money. Okay? You don't need to make $1 million. You can make 50,000, right? 50,000 is still very good money. Very good money. So, because if that move happened, you would make psycho money. Like with like $500 might turn into 500,000, or $500 might turn into $50,000. So, I wouldn't read into that. That is not going to convince me to be a good trader over time. That's a get rich quick scheme. And if it works out, congratulations. I will congratulate you. I'll never say like boo, but I will continue to say on my channel that is not a smart trading decision. And yeah, that's exactly. Carlos said it just right. But Martin, we respect it. We respect it. Okay, we respect it. But as long as you can acknowledge like it is a gamble, the signals are telling me the opposite, and I'm going to take the opposite play. Now, something we can see is if there is actually shorts going on into DJT, let's go look. Let's go see if there's shorts in DJT right now. I'll do that for you right now. I'll try to help you make a decision here, but I would just say don't throw the bank at it. Let me look at the put-call ratio. Okay, hold on. This doesn't... Oh, there it goes. Your put-call ratio is not insane. 1.55. I know that's big, but it's not insane. There's still a lot of calls in there. Now, for 2 weeks from now, you have a 2.72, but there's only a total option amount, total contract amount of 20,000 contracts. That's not like unheard of. But I totally understand it if you want to do it. I just want you to be aware of what you're getting into. That a butt sedan? No, I don't think so. I don't know what that is. I'm scared to type that on Google. Sounds weird. Oh god, I'm scared. Do it on my other screen. A shrine commonly found in temples and homes in Japanese Buddhist cultures. First of all, I love Buddhism, and I like Japanese culture so much. Me and I learned. I'm probably, my friend actually lives in Okinawa, and I have a Japanese tattoo. You guys have never seen that one, probably, right? Is it on this arm? I don't even know because I never see it. It's not on this arm. It's on this arm, right there. It says "just one drink" because I used to be pretty much a comedian, and mine was a lot related to alcohol, but I love that type of stuff. So we love the Japanese culture for sure. Sumimaste. Oh wait, something just blinked, by the way. AJ, thank you so much for subscribing. Now, one thing I do have is I have my little money kitty. I keep my money kitty for good luck. My desk. Keep my money kitty on my desk. He watches over me. He watches over my money. But yeah, I just wanted to show DJT not showing the best here. I don't see a ton of shorts piled up on this. Let me see the volume of those shorts, by the way. That's something important that I probably should do. Again, not the most diligent with it. Ah, you have 106,000. Now, how much is the put ratio? The puts amount, you have 64.5K this week. That's a pretty good amount for this week, actually. But do you really, I don't know if that hits. Now, if people try to short against it, if it goes higher, that's when the short squeeze really piles on. So if we start to see that put volume increase as the price increases, that's going to squeeze. But be cautious with it, guys. All right. So volatility, though, 30-minute. If that can curl down, we see some kind of pop in the market right now, meta popping and things like that. I haven't seen that curled up on the 30 minutes, so I'm not scared. I'll watch it throughout the day. This right here, we're in positive context now for volatility. So that's something to pay attention to, because if volatility is in positive territory, that means the SPY has potential to go into negative territory on the 30 minutes. So just be very careful at this area. Going forward with volatility, the main thing we have to pay attention to, this daily crossing up, that's going to be a big, big moment. So if that's able to cross up this week, we might get a huge spike in volatility. We might have a major top. Why? Because this weekly. Now, remember, I'm leaning towards this. I think we're going to make a weekly divergence. We're going to see a little bit of positivity for a couple of weeks, maybe even going into June, right? I'm still thinking it's May right now, but if that starts to get towards the end of the month, we can say, okay, June, if that confirms, that starts to confirm, boom, we have a top in June. We have a pretty major top in June for some kind of corrective move, probably because we're still in an election cycle, and then after the election, it's ripped away no matter who's in office. We'll see. But as of right now, or something breaks in the system, I think this is a big, big crash signal we have to pay attention to. The weekly turning back up from this area, going positive. Right now it's negative. We want to see that go positive. If that happens this week, okay, cool. We could be in crash territory. But I think we're going to see something like that happen over the next few weeks. A 2 hour, what I really like to see as well. This hasn't even gone positive yet, so I'm not thinking like volatility has to go insane. It's getting close to it. But every time we got close to it, what happens is, like the last time we got close to it, what happened on May 1st, that was ripped away. What I think would be the signal that that daily is going to pop back up is going to be this turning down, and then curling back up. If I can see a divergence like this, that likes to rotate over that daily chart. So that's when I'll really be paying attention. I think that's the moment to really hedge or maybe even take a volatility position. That's what I would just look out for. Pay attention to the signals. All right, other than that, we want to see the dollar that's starting to make an upward move. Is the SPY still green? Yes. So the dollar is still negative. And is the SPY heading higher as of right now? Well, it would say yes on this 2 hour bar while the dollar is starting to creep up. So now we're starting to see that difference of the dollar and the SPY start to come in a little bit. Maybe some insider selling, nothing too dramatic. So we still have to pay attention to data. Data is going to be very, very important. And one thing we didn't cover, IWM, remember, this is a signal that we told you this morning. Hopefully someone was paying attention to this, because if you take a position outside of here, good likelihood you're going to reverse down into negative territory here, and we're going to see some kind of drop back into this zone. So this is a play, but just note, we have to be very risk averse. We have to be willing to be wrong. We have to be willing to pay attention to how we could get screwed, have our stops in place, because if PPI comes out good, that could just pop right back up. That could pop right back up. So we need that PPI to be the bad news. The momentum is dead here, so a big move down can happen from that PPI dropping us down. And then we can start to change our tone a little bit if CPI comes out bad as well and that keeps dropping. So pay attention to all these things, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. I really do appreciate it. Actually, the Dow, giving you some divergence up in this area. 2 hour looks like it needs to curl down. I think that hourly looks pretty good for that divergence. No. Position for the 15-minute. Ooh, that's a good position there. That's a good position for downside for the Dow. But yeah. Oh, in QQQ, I'm expecting to see a growth in my savings in a period of approximately 6 months instead of having them in an account without moving. I thought about having them in the stock market. Okay, so if you're wanting to invest in the Qs at these levels, I get it. It makes sense, right? So what can we see with the Qs as of right now? Well, if you're talking about 6 months, maybe we don't even want to talk about a daily. Maybe we want to talk about a weekly. So for the weekly scale here, I'm just going to tell you that this is not necessarily the best place to invest. You have a flat divergence on the MACD, and you have divergence on the RSI down here. So that would tell me the momentum to the upside. So you're talking about 6 months from now. Okay, 6 months from now would be somewhere around this level, right? So this here is what you're saying. You're like, okay, that's going to be my gain over the next 6 months. And that's perfectly fine if you want to take that risk. I would just make sure that the momentum indicators are saying upside here. But right now you're in an environment where, well, what do we have? We have kind of weakening in momentum. And if we get more weakening in momentum, this could convince you, okay, my money is safe. And then we experience something really bad. The thing is, we have a lot of things that could crash this market as of right now. One of them being bank failures, which is what I'm leaning towards. As of right now, what could be happening here? What if we get a more dramatic pullback or we get some kind of crash? I'm just saying you might have the potential in the next year to keep saving up that money and then buy at lower levels, maybe down towards this 200 or something like that at 340. So is this the best place to invest? I would say no. The places you want to invest, crossing up into positive territory, great place to invest. Even back here during the correction over here, what was happening? Well, down on this MACD here, you can learn still, even from the investment side, the information you get from the course, the information you get on this channel, the information we're going to talk about as far as the membership that we're going to create is going, you can find levels to invest. What would you say? Well, this right here, what if you invested half right here? You say, I don't have any weakening in momentum down here on the weekly scale, but if this is good, maybe I invest half right here. Okay, that's a level of 303. And then you pop up, and guess what? That's 10%. All right, cool. If you're just investing, you don't want to sell this. Okay, it beats down again. What do I see right here? Confirming in momentum again at 288. You just scaled in. Now you see a drop off. What happens? This curls back up above the 200. Maybe you just double down on that 288 price. There's your third point to invest. And look at that. That's a much better place to invest for 6 months. Okay, so now let's take that point. Let's go right here, and we'll go 6 months out. But something around here, right? So something around here. You just made 30% in 6 months. That's more what I would look into, Felipe. And I wouldn't get frustrated or anything like that if the stock market craziness continues. Just treat this as, I'm a good investor. Look at your good investors. Look at Warren Buffett. Look at the CEOs of a lot of companies. Are they holding, are they selling some of their stock right now? Yes, they are. And do you know what they did at these levels? Do you think they sold their stock at these levels? No, they bought. They bought stocks at these levels. They're selling at these levels. Oh, sorry. They're selling all throughout this move. So that would tell me, I don't want you, you probably worked really hard for that money. And that's why I'm talking about it like this. This is not the best time, even if the stock market goes up by another 5% and you're like, oh, I could have made 5% in a month. It's like, okay, but if you continue to hold for that 6 months, that's only 1 month. You have a 5-month risk now that just starts to drop down. And then you could have bought at 330. Okay, so what I would pay attention to is, if this can beat down closer to the center line and we're going to see the craziness continue and we beat down towards the center line and the market's in a positive trend and you don't want to miss out on some gains. Okay, cool. That crosses up. All right, there's my buy, right? This goes all the way down like this. It crosses back up. Okay, now I can buy at 350. And then if the craziness continues, what if we go all the way up? What if we start doing all the way up to here and we get towards 490 and then you see on the MACD another divergence or something like this, and then it crosses down. There's your sell point. You say, I'm out. There's my, the 6-month play turned into a 4-month play or something like that, right? And then you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to be out of that. That's all you have to do from the investment perspective. Investing is actually very good. It's just, like for me right now, I don't have any investments. The only one I have is TLT. I just have TLT. And what am I seeing with TLT? Well, where did I buy? I told you, I'm buying at 82.50. I said that way up here. I was like, I'm buying at 82.50. I bought at 82.50. Look at that. Boom. What are we doing? We're not getting positive yet, but as of right now, what's happening? We're getting close to that center line, or we're really close to that center line. If that curls back up, I can be confident to hold this for quite some time. But if this curls down, what am I doing? I'm going to place another buy right here at 82.50. Yeah, TLT looks great. Look at that. It looks like it's going to turn up. So it looks like those yields are going to come down. What happens when the yields come down? Well, if we're forced to cut, something bad. So a lot of the time when those yields actually drop dramatically and TLT is screaming higher, that's because something very bad's happening. And that's why I don't really think this is the best level to invest at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing. Some people saying they're going to go take the course. That's awesome. I always look forward to new people taking the course because sometimes they point out things. Sometimes they email me a good question and we can take that, maybe questions that we get on the course, we can take into that membership that we're creating. So if you're wanting to learn in a market like this, you can spam it in the chat right now if you're interested. Once I move into my new place and get my office set up, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to make a membership on YouTube where we do like an hour-long session, kind of like a little class session every Monday where we talk about a specific topic, and then we can discuss some things so people can learn throughout this. And taking the course is a great way to understand things, but I understand there's always questions that come with that. There's always more questions, right? It's like a class. You can't just take, even when you're a kid, you can't just take addition classes and be like, I have a question. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, if I have 2 apples, I get it. It's great. So it's great. I think it's a good idea. If you guys think it's a great idea, we'll put it into practice and we'll give it a whirl. And we won't make it some crazy $50 a month thing. We'll do 1 class a week and make it something like maybe $20 a month or $15. I don't know, something like that. I have to play with the numbers. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you, Dave, for saying that as we exit. I hope you guys have a great day. If you're a mother, happy Mother's Day. If you didn't hear it from me yesterday, we had a fun day, and I hope you did too. And I hope you guys have a great week. Just stay on your toes. Trade like water. We got a lot of data coming out this week. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you later on YouTube. Peace. Oh, what a fun one. What a fun one. Let's put you guys on the spy though. We can't have you guys sitting watching the TLT. That thing's like watching paint dry sometimes. We gotta leave you on the spy. See if this 15 minutes gonna be able to roll negativo, right? We gotta see if that's going negative. As of right now, not rolling negative. So we'll see if that rolls negative in the next 15 minutes while I leave the stream up. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.